Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall, and I want very much to tell you the story of a young lady named Barbara. Everyone is more or less mad on one point, said Rudyard Kipling, the famous English writer. And I'm inclined to agree with him, since I myself am more or less mad on the point of mystery. But our sweet heroine's madness took a strange turn, as we shall soon discover in the unfolding of the tale entitled, All Living Things Must Die. Our mystery drama, All Living Things Must Die, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Mercedes McCambridge. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Great taste in the morning. Kellogg's has that wholesome taste to get you up and grinning.
This is Jerry Crawford for Kellogg's Special K. You know, for years we've been talking about the Special K breakfast, a great way to start the day if you have a weight problem. You may have seen or heard our latest commercials, which symbolize the problem of being a few pounds overweight by using this ball and chain. That's the sound effect. But so many people have come to know the Special K breakfast that can help solve weight problems, they sometimes forget that Special K is America's favorite high-protein cereal. It has 8 essential vitamins and iron, and so delicious that lots of folks, kids as well as adults, eat Special K just for the sheer good taste of it. So we don't want you to think that you have to wear a ball and chain to eat Special K. All you need is an appreciation for the finer things of life, a 1-ounce bowl of Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, coffee, and maybe a little sugar. The Special K breakfast can help you lose weight all by itself, but it really is a good start.
No matter what you're saving for, that's what Suburban Savings for Suburban.
Suburban Savings offers you an easy way to borrow without touching a penny in your regular savings passbook account. Just let Suburban loan you the money. It's called Suburban Savings Passbook Loan. You can borrow up to 90% of the total amount you have on deposit at reasonable rates, and you can pay off your loan at your convenience. When your loan is repaid, you still have all of your savings intact, plus interest. So if you need money, why not take a loan from Suburban without touching your savings? Suburban Savings Passbook Loan in New Jersey at Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
Now begins our story of the lightly demented Barbara, a lovely lady of 31 or 2, even 4 or 5. But as we now discover her in the living room of her suburban home, she could be younger than springtime. She could be spring itself.
I love you. I love you all. You are my darlings, my pets, my very own treasures. Oh, how beautiful you are, and how much I love you. What? Oh, that can't be Frank. He never forgets his key. Oh, it's...
Johnson, ma'am. Detective Sergeant Johnson from the other day.
Oh, yes. Come in. I didn't realize you'd be back.
Well, I was just checking up. Had any more of those obscene phone calls?
No, not one. And it's such a relief you can't imagine.
You had your number changed?
Yes. And that seems to have done the trick, all right.
Well, good. No, a lady like you shouldn't be bothered by things like that.
Well, there's one other thing I hate to mention.
No, go ahead. Mention anything you want to. We're here to serve.
Well, it could be my imagination, but every once in a while, I see a man sort of hanging around across the street, not doing anything in particular, but just hanging around.
Mm-hmm. Any special time of day?
Yes, usually about this time. I see him through this window when I'm putting my plants to bed.
Oh, you tuck them in, do you?
Well, sort of. I talk to them, and sometimes I sing them a lullaby. I know that sounds silly, but, well, that's what I do. And then sometimes through the window, I think I see this man.
Well, it's kind of hard to see out this window, ma'am. The plants sort of get in the way.
Yes, I know they do, but they like it here. I tried other places, but they weren't happy, so...
They were happy here, huh?
Well, they haven't complained. Although I'm not sure about Annabelle. This one is Annabelle. That's Arthur. And that's Kenneth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Marianne. And that spider plant over there is Michael.
Oh, Michael's in great shape, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he is. Are you laughing at me? Please don't.
Do I look like I'm laughing?
My husband laughs at me sometimes.
I wouldn't know why.
Oh, because... Now, you see this one, Marianne?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you take a close look because you won't see a Marianne every day in the week.
Well, Marianne is, well, she looks like ivy to me.
Yes, but her leaves are heart-shaped. Can't you see? Each one is shaped like a perfect little heart.
You know, you're right.
Yes. There are more than 200 varieties of ivy. Did you know that?
No, I never did.
Hey, what's going on here?
Oh, Frank. This is my husband. Frank, this is Detective Sergeant Johnson.
Ed Johnson.
How are you?
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Murray.
He came to check up on those phone calls.
Oh, yeah, from the degenerate. I told Barbara she should answer him back in his own language.
Oh, Frank, please.
Let him have it. Give it to him right between the eyes. The ears, I should say, in this instance.
Well, I'll be getting along.
Well, I'll show you to the door.
Say, listen, why can't you catch those freaks?
Thank you for coming around, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, sure. I'll stop by again if it's all right with you.
Oh, anytime, practically. I'm almost always here.
And take good care of Annabelle.
Oh, I will.
And don't let Michael grow too fast.
I'll do my best.
Good night, Mrs. Murray.
Good night, Sergeant Johnson. And thank you.
Now, don't you mention it.
What was all that about?
Oh, I told you. The phone call.
I mean, all that whispering, all that bzz at the door just now.
Oh, we weren't whispering.
Well, what were you talking about? That I wasn't supposed to hear?
Nothing. He just said, I don't know, something about the plants, that's all.
What does he know about plants?
Well, nothing much. When he was here the first time, and just now before you came in, I told him about them. He knows that I talked to them and that they have names. He was just being friendly, Frank.
That's being friendly? Dropping in all the time when I'm not here?
Only twice. This was only the second time.
He's a kook like you. Freaked out over a bunch of plants.
He was only expressing an interest.
What's interesting about a bunch of plants with no flowers? Look at them. They take up the whole window. You got them strung all over the place, up to the ceiling, hanging down.
They're vines, Frank. There's silver lace and philodendron and ivy.
Now, whatever they are, they're dumb. Plain dumb. I wouldn't object to a nice pot of tulips, something like that, sitting on a table. Like a nice spot of color or a hyacinth. They smell good. But these things...
Don't hurt them. Don't.
I got no use for them at all. Get rid of them, why don't you?
No, never. You can't make me.
Oh, boy, you sure cry easy. What did I say was so terrible?
You said get rid of them.
Well, all right. Forget I mentioned it. What's for dinner?
It's Swiss steak.
Again?
Well, it's been a whole week.
Well, get it on the table, because I got to get out of here early.
You mean you're going out?
I got a date to go bowling.
Tonight?
Well, certainly tonight. What do you think, next year?
But you were out last night and the night before.
And I may go out tomorrow night, and the night after that. So what?
Frank, I get so lonely.
Well, read a book. Watch TV. Listen to the radio.
But almost every night and all day.
Well, all right. Talk to your plants. That's what you got them for, is it? Have a nice little conversation with Michael and Mary Louise and Archibald, whatever you call them.
Never mind. Just never mind.
Well, look, I'm going to take a quick shower and then we'll eat. 10 minutes on the outside, okay?
Okay. Oh, Arthur. Annabelle. Tell me that you love me. Marianne, do you love me? Michael. Kenneth. Oh, somebody love me. Please. Somebody love me or I'll die.
That Swiss steak wasn't bad at all.
Thank you.
Got any dessert?
Just fruit.
I'll take an apple with me.
Frank, don't go for a minute.
Well, I told you I got a date.
No, I want to talk to you about something.
I'll go ahead, but keep it short, will you?
Oh, Frank, remember when we got married?
Well, how could I forget with you to remind me?
Well, you said then that you didn't want to have any children right away.
I don't believe in rushing into things like that.
Frank, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
But isn't it different now?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I think I'm too old for kids.
Oh, you're only 45.
And by the time my kid grew up, I'd be an old man.
No, not really old.
Well, aren't you kind of old to be having a kid for the first time?
Frank, lots of women have children at my age. Lots of them.
I don't know if it's safe.
Yes, it is. It happens all the time, and I'm very healthy. I'm very strong.
You don't look too strong.
Well, I am, because the doctor said so.
When did you go to see a doctor?
Last week.
I don't like you doing that without asking me first.
Well, I wanted to be sure before I talked to you. And the doctor says it'd be perfectly all right for me to have a baby. As a matter of fact, he said it'd be the best thing in the world for me.
Well, I can't see it.
On account of the loneliness, Frank, I don't think you realize how lonely I get. That's why I talk to the plants and sing to them. Because I haven't got anybody else.
Well, make some friends, why don't you?
That's not easy for me.
Well, why not? I do it all the time.
Anyway, it's not the same as having somebody right here in the house with me all the time. It's not the same intimate kind of thing. If I had a baby... Oh, Frank, I wouldn't ask for anything else ever. And I'd give that baby so much love and attention. It would grow up to be the most marvelous person because it would know from the very beginning that it was loved and wanted. Oh, so much wanted.
Well, I don't want it. You got that? A kid is the last thing in the world I want.
Please.
No. I live in this house, too, you know. I don't want a kid running around, messing up everything, making a lot of noise, getting in the way all the time.
No, it wouldn't be like that.
Oh, yes, it would. No, I won't have a kid messing up my life, and that's final, so forget it, huh? You hear me? Forget it. Put it out of your mind. Okay? Well, I gotta get going. Guys are waiting for me at the bowling alley.
Frank.
All right, now what?
No, I won't keep you a minute.
I haven't got a minute.
Please, less than a minute.
Well, okay, spill it.
When I was at the supermarket this morning, there was this dog.
A dog? Oh, boy.
Really, a very pretty dog, and so sweet. And he was just wandering around. Nobody knew who he belonged to. Or if he belonged to anybody. He's just a stray, as far as anybody knows.
No dog.
And he has this cute little tail that curls up right over his back. And great ears that stand up straight and then flop over. And he's mostly black with a kind of white face.
Barbara, we've been through all this. I will not have a dog in my house. Now, that is how it is, and I don't want to talk about it now or never. You understand that?
Yes.
I gotta go.
Frank?
I said I gotta go.
Just one more thing. There's this man hanging around outside.
What man? Hanging around where?
I was telling Detective Johnson about it. This man sort of hangs around across the street. And I thought, if he's a prowler or a dangerous kind of person, well, a dog would be protection for me, see, when I'm alone.
What makes you think this guy is dangerous?
I don't know that he is, but every night now when I'm watering the plants just before you come home, I can see him through the window, just sort of standing there and looking around.
This window?
Yes. He looks kind of shifty, Frank. And if I had a dog, I'd feel safe.
I can't see it.
Yes, right across the street.
I can't see on account of these dumb plants.
Don't hurt them.
Why do you have to grow them so
Well,
long?
just part them very carefully. Here, let me.
Oh, no, I can do it.
There. Can you see that man?
I see him. Barbara, you're a nut, you know that?
Why am I?
That's the guard they hired at the high-rise. They pay him to watch the building. Of course he's here every night. That's what he's paid for.
I didn't know that.
Are you trying to con me into letting you have a dog for protection? Well, it won't work, Barbara. The answer's still the same. No dog, no baby. Just be happy with these dumb plants. They're bad enough. Taking up the whole bloody window, spilling all over the place.
I hate you.
Look, I'll let you keep them.
I hate you. I wish you would.
What did you say?
I said I hate you. I wish you would.
Did you really say... Hey, what? Hey, what's this? The bloody plants are on my neck.
Oh.
Hey, Barbara, they're all around me. They're choking me. I can't get them off. Hey, Barbara, they're too strong. Barbara, Barbara, don't stand there. Get them off.
No.
Get the scissors. Barbara, the scissors.
I hate you. I hate you. I want you.
We'll return shortly for the second act of All Living Things Must Die.
Hi, I'm Goldilocks, Ms. Goldilocks, if you please, and I'm a professional taste tester. Here at my taste test laboratory, that's TTL for short, I taste test everything from porridge to diet drinks. Actually, there's not that much taste testing in porridge these days. There used to be. Once upon a time. I mean, that's how this Ms. got into the biz. But lately it's been diet drinks. I mean, with so many diet drinks going sugar-free, I've been really busy conducting taste tests. A rather unbearable assignment, to be sure. But then I discovered sugar-free diet 7-Up. Fresh, natural, delicious. My only problem is that sugar-free diet 7-Up tastes so good that it broke my Goldilocks diet drink taste-o-meter. Well, sugar-free diet 7-Up certainly has my seal of approval. This one's just right.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner? Hey, Mom, what you got?
It's time to get ready for the great outdoors, and your ShopRite supermarket has everything you'll need for cookout dinners and fun in the sun. And for this week's dinners, ShopRite is featuring whole grade A frying chickens, just 37 cents a pound. Roasting chickens up to 4 pounds, 47 cents a pound. Choice rib steaks, $1.19 a pound. ShopRite Franks, 89 cents a pound. Get all your outdoor cooking equipment and many great food values at your ShopRite supermarket.
She loves the family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
Macy's store-wide spring sale blossoms all this week with beautiful values in every department, every Macy's store. Values like a 40-piece Nyko ironstone service rate, regularly $55, now just $39.99. And hand-cut lead crystal selection of Hostess items, regularly $15 to $25, now $9.99 to $14.99. Save in every department all this week. Macy's store-wide spring sale. This is WOR New York and RKO General Station.
Now for the second act of All Living Things Must Die. It is a year later, and our heroine no longer lives in the little suburban house, nor is her name Barbara Murray. She lives in a cheery little 2-room apartment, and she is married to Detective Sergeant Ed Johnson. But Kenneth and Arthur and Mary Ann and Michael and Annabelle, all the plants are grouped together in the largest window, and all appear to be in the best of health.
Baby boat's a silver moon sailing on the sea. Oh, he's home. Ed?
Hello, sweetheart.
Hello, darling.
Hey, watch out.
What have you got there?
Oh, just a little addition to the family.
What? What is
Well,
it?
let me get the paper off, will you?
Okay.
How's that, huh?
Ed.
Mm.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know what it's called?
Yes, do you?
Sure, Purple Passion Plant.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I thought it was very appropriate for two people who've been married a month.
Oh, it is, Ed. It's beautiful. And you were so sweet to think of it.
Well, there's something else I've been thinking of.
What's that?
Honey, is it too soon for us to be thinking about having a baby?
A baby?
Well, you do want us to have a baby, don't you, Barbara?
Well, I guess so.
I brought the subject up too soon. I can see that. Dumb me. I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
No. I was stupid. Forget I mentioned it, huh? Only, it doesn't do any harm to think about it a little, does it?
No. I guess it doesn't do any harm to think about it. Oh, Cleopatra. You're growing very nicely, dear. It would take a little while before you'll be as long as Annabelle. And you'll probably never be as long as Michael. But then very few plants are. But you're so healthy and strong. And I love your purple leaves. You're very beautiful, my darling. Yes, you are. Oh, he's home. Darling? darling, you're home.
Yep, I'm home. Hey, look what I brought with me.
Why? Oh, no, it's a dog.
Uh-huh.
Oh, isn't he darling?
Yeah. He wandered into the station house about a week ago. We've been feeding him, and he's been sleeping there.
Look, his tail curls up over his back.
Yeah, he's got a great disposition.
Oh, my. Doesn't he belong to anybody?
Well, we advertised in the paper 3 days running. Nobody answered the ad.
You mean he's got no home? Nobody wants him?
Well, not unless you do.
You mean I can have him? He can live here with us.
Well, would you like that?
Oh, yes.
Dog, I guess you got a home.
Oh, I love him.
Dog, you got yourself a mother.
Look at him. Look how he's looking at you.
Yeah. Come here, dog. Come here.
Oh, he loves you. You can see it in his eyes. He just loves you.
Well, I'm his father, aren't I? Hey, dog, do you love your father?
Of course he loves you. How could he help but love you? How could anybody help but love you?
Well, there's only one person has to love me. That's you.
Uh-huh.
But you have to, baby. It's absolutely necessary. It's essential that you love me, because if you don't, it's the end of me.
Oh, Ed, I love you so much. I can't even talk about it. Just believe me. I love you, and I love you, and I love you. When you're here and when you're not here, and when you're asleep and when you're awake, and when you talk and when you don't talk, and when you look at me and when you don't. I love you all the time.
That's a lot of love.
I've got more.
More?
Anytime you need it.
Barbara. Honey, look, we've been married better than half a year now. When are we going to start having a baby?
Oh, I don't know.
Pretty soon?
I guess.
You want one, don't you, honey?
Yes.
Well, when do we?
Well, sometime.
Well, sweetheart, we're not kids anymore.
I know that.
You think I'm putting the pressure on you? I shouldn't do that. I didn't mean to.
No, that's all right.
No, I won't do that anymore. You just got to tell me when you think is the right time. I won't bother about it anymore. Now, what are we going to name the dog?
I don't know.
How about Cuthbert or Lancelot?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Herman? Dwight?
No, I don't want to give him any name like that. I want to call him what you called him.
Me? I never called him
Yes,
anything.
you did. You called him Dog. That's what I want to call him.
D-A-W-G? Dog?
Yes, come here, Dog.
Hey.
Oh, what a lovely dog you are, Dog. Hi, darling.
Hello, love. How do you feel?
I feel marvelous.
Well, you look marvelous. How's the family?
Well, I've been giving Annabelle a little too much water, but everybody else is fine.
Oh, I brought you a present. The first anniversary present.
Well, I have one for you, too.
Here. It's an engagement ring. You never had one.
Oh, Ed, this is lovely.
Do you like it?
Oh, yes, I love it. Almost as much as I love you, and Dog, and Annabelle, and Kenneth.
Hey, watch it.
And I got you a ring, too.
A what?
Yes, a wedding ring, because you never had one.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's real nice. Is it okay for a man to wear this?
Well, it just shows everybody that you're married.
Well, everybody knows I'm married.
Does everybody really know you're married?
Well, I talk about it all the time.
Do you
Sure-
really? Do you
sure.
talk about it?
Well, I'm married to you, so naturally it's you I talk about.
I bet you bore everybody to
Yeah,
tears.
I bet I do. Of course, there always comes a time when they break in and say, any kids? You got any kids?
Yes, I suppose they do say that.
And, of course, I say no, and they say, well, why not? And I don't know what to say.
Ed, I'm so sorry.
Honey, why not? You have to tell me.
Well, it's a feeling that I have.
Well, don't you want to, baby? I always thought you were the kind of woman who'd want a family.
It's hard to explain.
Well, you've got to try.
Okay, I'll try. Only yet I don't think you're going to like what I'm going to tell you.
Anything. I want to hear anything you have to tell me.
Well, I have to go back to the night that Frank died.
Frank?
Yeah.
What's Frank got to do with it?
I'm going to tell you if you listen.
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Well, you remember when I called you that night and I told you that Frank was... You remember that?
Yeah, sure. Of course I remember.
And you came over with the others and you asked me how it happened.
Yeah?
And I said I didn't know. I said that Frank was going to go out bowling and he must have been in a hurry. And the room was dark. And he must have stumbled into the plants and got tangled up in them and he couldn't get out.
Yeah, but he was strangled by the plants, baby. It was a freak accident.
No, that isn't what happened at all.
Honey, are you trying to tell me... I don't know. Are you trying to tell me that you pushed him or something? That you wrapped the plants around his neck?
I didn't.
All right, now, wait a minute. Maybe you better tell it to me from the beginning.
Well, you remember Frank came home that day while you were still here.
Uh-huh.
And then you left. And he told me to hurry up with dinner because he was going out. And I got upset. I told him I get so lonely here. Lonely every night. Almost every day.
Read a book, watch TV, listen to the radio, talk to your plants. That's what you got up for, isn't it?
So after dinner, I said I wanted to talk to him about having a baby.
A kid is the last thing in the world I want.
And I think maybe it was then that I got the idea.
What idea?
It just seemed awfully important to me to get Frank over by the window where the plants were hanging. So I told him that there'd been a man hanging around outside across the street.
What man? Hanging around where?
And he started walking toward the window. And I started feeling this awful, wild excitement. The nearer he got to the window, the nearer he got to the plants. And then I said it.
Said what, honey?
I hate you. I said, I hate you. At first, Frank didn't hear me. Or maybe he didn't believe his ears, but I said it again. I hate you. And then I said, I wish you would. He heard me say that.
Then what happened?
He started to look angry, and he made a little move toward me, and it was then, when he started to move, that the plants moved. They moved faster than anyone would think plants could move, and they wound themselves around his neck, around and around, and tighter. And Frank began to choke.
Barbara, they're all around my neck. They're choking me.
Oh, no.
I can't get them off. Don't stand there. Get them off. Get the scissors.
No.
Barbara, the scissors.
Because there were scissors there, on the windowsill. And Frank couldn't reach them because the plants were holding him so tight. And tighter all the time. And I knew the scissors were there. I kept them there all the time, just the way I do now, to cut off the leaves and things. But I didn't move. I just stood there, repeating those awful words. I hate you. I hate you. I wish you were...
Barbara! Barbara!
I watched his face turn purple, and then blue. And then he dropped to the floor. And I watched him drop. And I looked at him. But all I said was...
Darling.
I listened to the plants for a while. They seemed to be telling me, see how we love you. See, we'll do anything you ask. We are your true loves. We've killed for you. Now you know how much we love you. And then I went to the phone and called you.
Darling, you had a bad dream, that's all.
No, it wasn't a dream. I made the plants do what they did, don't you see? I said I wanted Frank, and they heard me. Or they felt what I was feeling, or they sensed it, or something. And because they love me, and because they know that I'd never kill anybody,
of course
they
not.
went ahead and did it for me.
Sweetheart, even if what you say is true, if it could be
It
true,
is
you
true.
never laid a finger on
But
Frank.
I'm an accessory, don't you see? I wanted someone to kill Frank. Not me, but someone. And the plants knew it, and they killed him for me.
Do you think anybody's going to believe you, sweetheart?
Ed, do you believe me?
Honey, is this why you don't want to have a baby?
Oh, I want to, but
But what?
that's how it all started. Me asking Frank if I could have a baby.
Why don't you try asking me? You know what kind of an answer you'll get, don't you? Go ahead. Ask me.
Ed, is it all right? Is it? Hello. This is Mrs. Ed Johnson. Yes. Well, I saw the doctor a couple of days ago, and he was going to have a test made to see if I... Oh, you can't tell me. It is? Really? Really? Yes, I believe you. Thank you very much. It's true. It's really true, dog. Michael, Marianne, I'm going to have a baby. Annabelle, it's true. Kenneth, Cleopatra, Arthur, finally, I'm going to have a baby. What do you think about that? Are you pleased? Are you happy? Tell me what you think, because you're very important to me. Yes, you're my best friend. I'm not young anymore. And there are people who think I'm, well, strange. I'm too emotional, that's what they think. And they may be right. How do I know? So please, tell me, because I trust you. Is it all right for me to have a baby? You really think so? Ed! Ed, it's true! I just called the doctor's office and they told me it's true. I'm going to have a baby, Ed. Tell me, is it really all right?
We'll be back shortly with Act 3.
When you say Budweiser,
when you say Bud, you've said a lot of things nobody else can say. When you say Bud, you've gone as far as you can go to get the very best. Yeah. When you say Bud, you tell the world you know what makes it all the way. When you say Bud, you say you care enough to only want the king of beers.
there is no other one. There's only something less. From the king of beer is being all the rest. When you say Budweiser, you said it all.
You said it all.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Macy's store-wide spring sale blossoms all this week with beautiful values in every department, every Macy's store. Values like all wool pile oriental design rugs, regularly $200, now just $150. Save in the rug department on worsted wool, imported, woven Saruk, and Kerman designs. Save in every department all this week. Macy's store-wide spring sale.
Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad for things that make a happy day? Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad you found a love to grow and stay? Aren't you glad that we're pulling together? Aren't you glad that we're feeling free? Aren't you glad? 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 Aren't you glad just to be? Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad for feeling cool and clean all day? Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad you've done your best to stay that way? Aren't you glad? Glad we're getting together. Aren't you glad that the people smile? Aren't you glad you use dial? Aren't you glad you use dial? Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad you use dial? Aren't you glad?
We're still in a little two-room apartment, and the plants still hang in the window, but everything else is different, for it is precisely 8 months since we last heard her voice.
There. They're gone. Ed, they're gone.
What's that, honey?
The movers have gone. They took the last chair out just now. Oh, I hope they don't break anything.
Oh, sweetie, they won't. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
I don't worry about anything anymore.
Do you mean that?
Sometimes I try to worry, because after all, I used to worry all the time. I mean, I worried all my life, but now I can't worry. I've forgotten how. It's being pregnant.
Well, maybe I ought to try it.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you, you know that.
How come?
Being a man, you can't ever be happy the way I'm happy.
I've got my own way.
I feel so complete, so
fulfilled?
I guess so. As though there'd been something missing from the day I was born. And now I've got it. I was so unfinished before, but now I'm complete.
Just you wait till we get settled in the new apartment, baby. Wait till we get the little baby's room decorated and the crib moved in and all that other stuff.
Shouldn't we go over there now?
Well, I suppose we ought to give the movers time to get there.
No, I want to go now. I can't wait.
Yeah, neither can I. Oh, honey.
Isn't it wonderful how we always seem to feel the same way?
Oh, honey, you never have that other feeling anymore, do you?
What feeling?
You know about how Frank died, the plants.
Oh, that.
You don't ever feel that maybe you shouldn't have a baby.
Oh, no.
Well, you know, when you first found out, you weren't too sure.
Oh, but that was 8 months ago. That was before I started feeling the baby grow. Before I knew that it was going to be my baby, my child. And then I knew that if there ever was anything that was right, having this baby was that thing.
And Frank? You ever think about him, about that night?
I'm not sure it ever happened. I'm not sure it happened the way I said. I think probably you were right. I dreamed the whole thing.
It was an accident, Barbara. Frank and the plants. It was a freak accident.
I guess so. Now, come on, let's go over to the new apartment. Movers ought to be almost there.
Okay, I'll take the plants down.
Oh, no. I want to do that.
No, honey, no. I don't want you doing things like that. Not now. 8 months. Holy cow.
Oh, don't be silly. I know just how they're tied up because I did it myself in the first place. Come on, hand me the scissors. They're right there.
Baby.
I can cut the strings.
I think I ought to.
No, really. They wouldn't like anybody else touching them. I know what you can do. You can get those cartons we saved to pack them in and all that tissue paper. Go on, you do that. That'd be a big help.
Okay, if you say so. Oh, here's the scissors.
Right. Only take a minute.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Now then, here we go. Now, Cleopatra, let's get you down first. No, Michael, you'll have to wait until last because you're so long and strong. It'd be hard to separate you from the others. Oh, gee, it's hard to reach. I don't know if I can... Oh, maybe I should have let Ed take you down. My arms hurt. Isn't that funny? I never had any trouble before. Well, of course, it's being pregnant. It's this baby I'm carrying around with me. Are you a boy? Or are you a girl? Or are you twins? I think you're twins. Wouldn't that be heavenly? An old lady like me having twins. A boy and a girl. Oh, I don't care. I don't care about anything anymore. Except my husband and my child. I don't even care about the plants. Isn't that strange? For so long, so many years, they were my dearest friends. They were my only friends. And now, they just don't matter anymore. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave them. Right here. You don't need them. We've got a new place to live. We're going to have a baby. We have each other. We don't need these old plants anymore. They can just stay right here. Ed! I just decided that we don't... No, don't. Get away. Get away from me. Ed, it's the plants. They're choking me. Ed, the plants.
Yeah, I got the cart. Barbara. Oh, my God.
They're choking me.
All right.
The scissors. Quick. I can't breathe.
Yeah, all right, I've got him. It's all right. It's going to be all right. Barbara. It's all right. Barbara, it's going to be all right. What'd the doctor say?
He says I'm all right. I can go home.
Did you tell him?
How could I tell him? I made up something. I said I got tangled up in the clothesline. That was the first thing that came into my head. Anyhow, he didn't ask me many questions because he could see that I wasn't really hurt. I was just scared.
Oh, you sure had me scared.
Well, they didn't hurt me much, really, the plants.
Well, why should they hurt you at all? You love those plants.
Ed. While I was taking them down, it was harder than I thought it would be, and my arms got tired.
Well, I told you to let me do it.
And I stopped for a minute, and then I thought, why am I bothering with these plants? Taking them down and carting them to the new place and then putting them up all over again. So I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave them. I'm happy. I've got everything I want. I don't need them. I even think I said that out loud. And they heard me.
Now, Barbara.
But it wouldn't have made any difference. They didn't have to hear me say it out loud. Because they knew what I was thinking.
Honey.
No, you see, you can't live that close to somebody for so long and so close without knowing what she's thinking. And they knew that I was going to go off and leave them. After all our years together, I was going to abandon them. I didn't care anymore what happened to them. And they knew that.
Oh, no, it's just hard to conceive of plants.
They wouldn't have killed me, Ed. They didn't even really mean to hurt me. They were just saying, don't go. Or if you must go, take us with you. You can see that, can't you?
All I know is I came into the room and I saw you with the vines around your throat and you were saying, choking me, get the scissors. Well, I got those scissors so fast. They were right there on the windowsill, and I cut those vines so fast. Boy, you had me worried, baby.
Oh, you must have fainted by then.
Yeah, and I picked you up and put you in the car, and you came to before we got to the hospital.
And here I am, and I'm all right.
Yeah. Barbara, you don't suppose I hurt the plants, do you? I just slashed away.
Well, I don't suppose you cut them down very carefully.
Oh, heck no.
Oh, they'll be all right. I'll trim them properly when we get back.
You're not going to leave him there? You're going to take him to the new apartment?
Yes. Yes, I am. I don't know what I was thinking of. How could I just go off and leave the things that I've loved and that have loved me? I can't walk out on them. I forgot that. And they were trying to remind me.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. But then you always are.
Well, I'm right about this.
Yeah. Well, let's go, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Cleopatra.
Why, poor Cleopatra?
Well, I knocked her on the floor.
You what?
Yeah, when I was trying to cut you loose, I knocked Cleopatra on the floor, broke the pot and everything.
You mean she's lying there? The pot is broken and she's lying there on the floor with no dirt?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, Ed, come on.
Now, Barbara.
No, hurry up. We've got to get there before she dies.
Look, honey, please, let me do it.
There she is. There's Cleopatra.
Let me do it, honey. You just stay there. Let me
Look
pick
out,
her up.
Ed. They're angry. Ed, they're coming for you.
No, it's all right.
Ed, please get out of the way. Stand back. Let me do it.
You think they're going to let you do it?
Of course they are. Of course they are. Aren't you, my darling? Aren't you? Ed, hand me that earthen pot, the one right there. No. Your roots haven't been out of the earth for very long, my love. Now, gently. No, I'm not hurting her. See, Michael, I'm being very gentle. I'm putting the good earth in the pot. See, Michael? Ed, get me some water, just a little.
Honey, I don't like leaving you
Don't
here.
be silly.
with
I'll be perfectly all right.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Now, you see, Michael? I'm scooping up every last bit of the nice brown earth, and I'm sifting it through my fingers. See, Annabelle? See, all of you? Oh, very carefully with the beautiful, loose brown earth.
Here you are.
Now, we put a little water in. Not very much, because the earth wasn't very dry. There's some plant food on the windowsill.
Yeah, I got it. Here you are.
Now, we mix just a little of it into the soil. There we are, like that. And now, Cleopatra, my love, let me pick you up. I'll hold you for a second. And don't be frightened, my dear. No. And put your little roots into the dirt. Very gently, very carefully. And press the dirt down around them. And then we add the rest of the dirt, almost to the top. And we press it down. Not too hard, just enough to make you feel safe and secure. There we are. You see, Michael? Marianne? Annabelle, see? She's going to be all right.
You think she really will be?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm going to set her here on the windowsill and let the sun pour all over her.
Well, shouldn't you start taking down the other plants?
No, not yet. They've had an awful shock.
Yeah, but, honey, the furniture movers at the other apartment, they must be going crazy wondering where we are.
Well, you go. You take the car and go over there.
What about you?
Come back for me later.
Okay. Like, in an hour?
Well, make it a couple of hours.
Okay, baby.
Baby boats of silver moon sailing on the sea. Yes, my dear ones, rest. Rest, my darling. Sail, baby, sail out across the sea. Only don't forget to sail home again to me. Only don't forget to sail home again to me.
The next time you pass by a plant, stop and look. Make a little bow or tip your hat. And if its leaves flutter and make a sound, listen. It may be trying to tell you something. I'll be back shortly.
Commuting. We're big on that. Time is money in the business world. That's why Ozark offers commuter flights that get you there and back the same day. Don't ever let a few hundred miles stand between you and big business opportunities. If you're long on work but short on time, let Ozark make your day pay off. Commuting, we're big on that.
Ozark
Jet to Champaign, Urbana, Peoria, and Springfield, Illinois. Call Ozark or your travel agent. Macy's store-wide spring sale blossoms all this week with beautiful values in every department, every Macy's store. Values like Lee's Broadloom. Save $2 to $4 a square yard installed over sponge rubber padding. 35 styles, 500 colors. Regularly $12.99 to $21.99 a square yard. Now sale priced $9.99 to $17.99. Save in every department all this week. Macy's store-wide spring sale.
Our cast included Mercedes McCambridge, Larry Haynes, and Ralph Bell. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The WR Mystery Theater has been brought to you by ShopRite Supermarkets, where you get a lot more for a little less, and by Suburban Savings with offices throughout North Jersey. The preceding Mystery Theater program was furnished by the CBS Radio Network. Stand by now for a chilling moment from tomorrow night's WOR Mystery Theater drama.
You belong to her now, Claude. You belong to Venus.
What are you saying?
You made a vow to the statue.
I was only joking. We were all only joking.
Perhaps. But she took it seriously.
But it's only a statue.
It's the statue that stood in the shrine of the Temple of Venus. It is the Venus herself.
But what does she want?
She wants you.
I didn't mean it. You saw it was all in fun.
She wants you, Claude. She wants to love you. And then, as she's done so many times in the past, she'll kill you.
Tomorrow night's thriller is called Venus Deal. It features Norman Rose and Joan Lovejoy and will be heard following Fulton Lewis at 7 o'clock right here on WOR Radio, the talk of New York.
Boy, if the old-timer Horatio K. Boomer and Wally Wimple could see me now. Fibber McGee back on the radio right here from 79 Wistful Vista with a brand-new program where I'm going to bring back the great old radio shows from way back. Shows like Mr. Keene, Lum and Abner. Well, I guess I ought to get this place straightened up a bit, though. Where's that vacuum? Oh, I left it in the hall closet. Look.
Hear the good old days of radio tonight at 9:05 right here on WOR New York and RKO General Station.
I'm Fulton Lewis in the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, D.C. Now, my commentary. President Nixon goes before the television cameras and radio microphones tonight to explain to the nation why he will only partially comply with the House Judiciary subpoena for tape recordings of some 42 White House conversations. It is not known just how partial the president's compliance will be. Most bets are that he's going to deliver some of the tapes in their entirety. Others may be edited with discussions which the president feels are not germane to the House committee's impeachment inquiry excluded. In some other cases, Chairman Peter Rodino's panel may just get written transcripts of the tapes, not the tapes themselves. Knowing that that would not satisfy the Judiciary Committee, Chairman Rodino has said that he will be satisfied with nothing short of complete compliance with the subpoena. President Nixon tonight is likely to strike out at some happy middle ground, or a middle ground that he thinks would be happy, selecting perhaps some mutually acceptable third party who would vouch for the authenticity of the transcripts and who would ensure that any areas which are edited out are in fact non-germane. Again, though, that is not likely to satisfy the Judiciary Committee, which has insisted all the way along on getting only the original materials. The president, of course, has until 10 a.m. tomorrow to formally comply with the subpoena. It is an unprecedented situation in which a House committee is clearly treading on what some constitutional attorneys regard as sacred executive territory. The Constitution, remember, establishes 3 separate but totally equal branches of the federal government. Each has a right to remain aloof from the other. The president, in other words, if he so chose, could probably duck behind the so-called executive privilege in refusing to even partially comply with a House committee subpoena, It would be a contest that would eventually wind up in the federal courts, no doubt the Supreme Court. And technically, even if the Supreme Court were to side with the Congress, the president could just challenge the court to enforce its ruling, knowing full well that the Supreme Court has no enforcement powers. You can be sure, though, that even though these options may have crossed Mr. Nixon's mind at one time or another, they have never been seriously contemplated. There is an element of politics in his present dilemma. An impeachment threat is breathing heavily down his neck. He must be certain, on the one hand, that in responding to the demands of a panel of the House of Representatives, which has been charged with the initial impeachment inquiry, he does not establish any precedents which would do irreparable damage to the doctrine of separation of powers. The president must be equally certain, on the other hand, that he does not go so far down the road of executive privilege that he waves a red flag in the face of a potentially bullish Congress, angering it to the point where, for sheer spite, it might remove Mr. Nixon from office. Well, yesterday, a jury in New York acquitted the two men who were at the top of the official totem pole throughout the Watergate scandal. The two men who, it was widely charged, were more to blame than any others. Charges of presidential guilt have always been conditioned on the degree to which Mr. Nixon may have known about or cooperated with men like former Attorney General John Mitchell and former Commerce Secretary Maurice Stans in their quote-unquote crimes. Well, after a long and heated and belabored trial, it turns out that a jury in New York feels that neither Mitchell or Stans did commit those crimes. They were not guilty of 9 charges of criminal conspiracy. They were not guilty of lying to a federal grand jury in connection with a secret $200,000 cash contribution to the president's 1972 campaign. With that court decision, the bottom literally dropped out of the case against President Nixon. How on earth could the president possibly be guilty of some criminal cover-up of a crime if a court feels that a crime was not in fact committed? Granted, the acquittal of Mitchell and Stans yesterday does not completely absolve Mr. Nixon. There remains hanging the questions of H.R. Haldeman and John Ehrlichman and others, whether they tried to cover up the story of Watergate itself, and if they did, whether their actions in turn were done with the knowledge and blessing of the president. But remember, even if they are found guilty of criminal conduct, there must be further evidence beyond reasonable doubt, that there was knowledge and blessing from Mr. Nixon before the guilt can be assessed to him. Nothing short of that could, in the wildest stretches of the imagination, possibly satisfy the constitutional requirements for impeachment. And if public opinion has any influence on the jurors in the impeachment procedure, and you can bet public opinion will have a tremendous influence since those jurors are all politicians, members of Congress, well, the verdict yesterday in the Stans-Mitchell case is likely to have a considerable impact. It demonstrated clearly that at least a few charges of corruption within the highest levels of the Nixon administration in recent years were unfounded charges, and the public is bound to wonder, if Stans and Mitchell were accused falsely, isn't it just within the realm of possibility that President Nixon has himself been the victim of equally false accusations? That verdict in this respect is probably the first really good news that Mr. Nixon has had since the Watergate era started, a long 15 months ago. These are the events that shaped the past few days. The events of the next 24 hours are likely to go a long way towards shaping the political destiny of Richard Nixon as a person, and with him, of course, the political destiny of our entire nation. They will be hours of great historical significance, great historical importance. Another key point in the Stans-Mitchell trial was noted today by the foreman of the jury that acquitted the two former cabinet officers. She said that she and her fellow jurors doubted the truthfulness of one of the major prosecution witnesses, former White House counsel John W. Dean III. Dean's credibility came in doubt, she said, when he admitted that he had pleaded guilty to a charge of obstruction of justice in the Watergate scandal, pleaded guilty in hopes of drawing a lighter sentence. Here in the nation's capital, Vice President Gerald Ford had some comments of his declaring that the jury's verdict in the Mitchell-Stans case, in the Vice President's words, says to me that John Dean's credibility has been severely eroded. It is John Dean, of course, who was the key witness against President Nixon. Indeed, when you get right down to it, he was the only witness who actually tried to implicate the president in any criminal wrongdoing at the Senate Watergate hearings. It is the same John W. Dean III who was slated to be a key prosecution witness in other cases which are still pending against other former high-level Nixon administration officials, who has been accused of involvement in the Watergate scandal. You remove this John W. Dean III from the prosecution case, and that apparently is what the jury in the Mitchell-Stans case did, and all of a sudden you have a large sailboat with no wind in its sails. It's not going to go very far. Dean's credibility, rather his lack of credibility, was precisely what the Nixon forces hoped to establish, and apparently they have achieved that number one objective. From the Mutual Studios in Washington, I'm Fulton Lewis, and that's the top of the news.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to our world of mystery and the macabre. The Romans called her Venus. The Greeks knew her as Aphrodite. To other ancient peoples, she was Ishtar, Isis, and Astarte. But whatever the name, she was always the same. The mysterious, passionate, voluptuous goddess of love. And sometimes of death. Our mystery drama, The Venus de Ile, was especially adapted from the Prosper Mérimée classic for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Norman Rose. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. I'll be back shortly with Act 1.
When you feel like having a cold Budweiser, do you automatically reach for a glass? Well, sure, Bud's a great beer any way you drink it. But without a glass, you're really missing something. Now take that wonderful Budweiser head of foam, for instance. Those bubbles, tiny though they are, still amount to something pretty special at the top of your glass. Taste appeal and eye appeal. Two results of exclusive beechwood aging and natural carbonation. It takes a lot longer to brew Budweiser that way, but brewing beer right does make a difference that you can taste. That's why, when you say Budweiser, you've really said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
No matter what you're saving for, that's what Suburban Savings for Suburban.
Suburban Savings offers you an easy way to borrow without touching a penny in your regular savings passbook account. Just let Suburban loan you the money. It's called Suburban Savings Passbook Loan. You can borrow up to 90% of the total amount you have on deposit at reasonable rates, and you can pay off your loan at your convenience. When your loan is repaid, you still have all of your savings intact, plus interest. So if you need money, why not take a loan from Suburban without touching your savings? Suburban Savings Passbook Loan in New Jersey at Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And now, mesdames et messieurs, we play. And it is 13, rouge, 13, red.
There, you see? It's always rouge when I bet noir. But how can you change horses in midstream? No, I have faith. 50,000 francs on the black.
I'm sorry, Monsieur le Vicomte.
About what?
There can be no more credit.
No credit? Call the manager.
It was the manager himself who gave the order.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry, monsieur.
Save my place at the table.
Come in. Ah, Claude. Have a chair, my boy.
Monsieur Armand, is this how you treat an old friend?
We'll have a glass of champagne. Fabulous flavor.
What is the meaning of
Have
this?
a cigar. Just arrived from Havana.
Have a chair, have a glass of champagne, have a cigar. I'm waiting to hear you offer me what I came in for.
And what's that?
Credit.
Credit. Let me talk to you like a father.
I can see where this is leading. No credit.
Had you not come to see me, I would have gone to see you.
Why?
You owe this establishment 1 million francs.
And?
And there are those who will demand payment. Those who will take drastic steps. If payment is not forthcoming within the next few days.
What are you talking about?
My boy, we are now... How can I say this? Well, we are now organized.
Organized?
We are owned by a syndicate, and all debts must be collected. They will be collected by people who are known as enforcers, I think.
Will you extend me credit or not?
Claude, please listen. The syndicate has been through my books. You are in danger.
You expect me to be frightened by these hoodlums?
Claude, give me some assurances that you can pay, or else please disappear for a while.
I have a document that will not only encourage you to extend credit, but will also satisfy the vultures who seem to be running your establishment.
The document?
Mm-hmm. I have here a letter from Mademoiselle Eloise Calvert.
The heiress?
Yes, the heiress. The wealthiest young lady in France. In which she says, among other things, "My darling Claude, if you refuse to marry me, I don't think I care to live any longer."
She says that?
Now, I would assume that this should serve as a gilt-edged letter of credit. A document even stronger than the Bank of France.
May I see the letter?
If you insist.
Fine. On the basis of this, your credit is unlimited. But make sure the engagement is announced within 3 or 4 days.
Of course. And perhaps sooner.
Good morning, darling.
Good morning, Eloise.
Oh, it's only you, Henri.
I'm sorry you're disappointed.
Well, you're not bad. And if there were no Claude Louis, you might even do. Henri, have you seen him?
He's probably still fast asleep.
No, he promised to play tennis with me this morning.
No, then he'll be along. Where did you get this amazing statue?
Oh, I don't know. Monsieur Delon, who bought all that art for my father, my dear departed father, advised me to pick it up.
It's fantastic. A bronze 8-foot Venus.
She should be worth more than the one at the Louvre. At least this one has arms.
Why do you place her here, at the entrance to your tennis court?
Why not? We always have a crowd here. Why should she be lonesome?
Do you know that in Greek and Roman times, our very town of Ile had a temple sacred to Venus? Yes, right here.
Well, now, how and why should I know a thing like that?
And this was the great statue of Venus that stood in the shrine of the temple.
Really? The same one?
Look at the air of mystery that surrounds the face. This is a woman of many moods and passions.
Here comes Claude Louis.
Good morning, Eloise.
Hello, darling.
And Cousin Henri.
Have you examined this statue, Claude?
Great big girl, isn't she? She's, magnificent, too.
The goddess of love. The fickle, jealous, unpredictable goddess of love.
Well, I came down to play tennis.
And I am ready for you. You're not really very good this morning.
Well, wait till I warm up.
I'm just toying with you. You can hardly hit the ball. What will you do in the game?
I'll tell you what it is, darling.
An excuse coming up. Make it good.
Well, it's this ring. This ring I'm wearing.
That big, ostentatious, vulgar ring.
Now. It belonged to my father.
Well, I never liked it.
Stop. Stop for a minute. I want to take it off. I can't grip the racket properly. Now, where can I put it? I don't have a pocket in these trousers.
So why don't you just throw the ugly thing away? I'll buy you a new one.
Oh, now, darling, it has a very sentimental value. Oh, I know a good place for it. Excuse me a minute.
Where are you going?
I'll just put it on Miss Venus's finger.
Ah, and I thought you came here to put a ring on my finger.
No, Claude, no.
No what?
Don't do that. It's
what?
I was about to say, blasphemy, but that's not really the word.
Oh, Henri, what are you talking about?
But it just doesn't seem right. After all, she is the goddess of love, and you can't...
Yes?
You're offering her your ring, which means you're asking her to marry you.
Do you have any idea what you're saying, Henri?
That is, symbolically, of course.
Eloise, is your cousin always like this?
Well, he's a very deep person.
Claude, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Don't put that ring on her finger.
Why not? There we are. It fits her perfectly. Looks good on her, too.
All right, now let's see if that ring really was what cramped your style, Claude.
Let's see you get that one.
Oh, dear. Nice. But you'll have to do it again.
Watch out.
You were better than last time, but still not good enough.
Well, if all I did was play tennis all day...
Why don't you? Uh-oh. It's going to come down any minute. Let's run for the house. We shouldn't be out here in the lightning.
Hey, Henri, get my ring, will you?
And meet us in the house, Henri. Come on, Claude.
Wait a minute. Oh, he's just standing there.
Darling, it's going to pour any second.
What's the matter with him? Henri! Eloise, is he all right?
Well, let's go see. Henri?
Henri, what are you staring at?
Your ring, Claude.
Well, what about my ring?
It won't come off her finger.
What?
Try it. Try it yourself. Just try to take it off.
All right, I will.
Oh, please hurry. We'll be drenched.
See what I mean, Claude?
What does he mean, Claude?
This ring, my ring, for some reason, I can't seem to get it off her finger.
What on earth are you talking about? Just take it off.
Well, it seems to be stuck.
Why?
I don't know.
Wait. Why are we just standing around in the rain?
Why won't this ring come off? I can't even move it.
Well, you worry about it. I'm going into the house before I get soaked.
Henri, why can't I get this ring off? Why?
Dinner will be ready in a few minutes. The chef went out of his way for Claude. Oh, Henri, why doesn't he ask me to marry him?
Who? The chef?
No, idiot, Claude.
He will. After all, he's penniless.
Oh, now that's not worthy of you.
I'm sorry.
Where is Claude?
He's out on the tennis court.
Now?
It seems he still can't get his ring off that goddess's finger.
I don't believe it.
Do you want to go see?
In this rain? No, thank you. Oh, Claude. Oh, darling, look at you. You're dripping wet.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll go right upstairs and change.
What were you doing outside?
Well, I know it sounds silly, but I was trying to get my ring off her finger.
And did you?
No.
There could be a kind of secret spring, and it snapped, and it sort of curved her finger around it.
I don't know what to do about it. Is it all right if I just leave it there?
Oh, I never liked that ring. If the statue wants it that badly, let her have it. Did you enjoy dinner, darling?
Oh, it was delicious. Pierre outdid himself.
How would you know? You scarcely touched your food.
Eloise, if you must know, it's that silly statue.
Can't we forget her finally, I hope?
Henri, how do you account for it?
You wouldn't believe a word I say.
Oh, well, say it.
In the old days, she was the center of an adoring, worshipping populace right here. Every day she was presented with gifts. And then suddenly, it stopped. The old religion had died. And for nearly 2,000 years, she's been neglected. Suddenly, once again, she is given a gift. You can imagine that this one is more precious to her than anything in her history. And so she refuses to give it up.
Claude, darling, of course Henry is crazy, but he's only my cousin by marriage, so it doesn't run in the family.
Well, it's rather late. I think I'll turn in. Good night, all.
Good night.
Yes, good night.
Of course you received my letter.
That's why I came.
I love you, Claude.
I love you, too.
But I want you to ask me.
Oh, yes. Yes, I will.
Well, I'm waiting.
Louise,
Claude, why are you so pale?
I don't know.
Are you ill?
I feel very strange.
How?
As if I hear music.
Music? But there's no
It's an unusual kind of music. I've never heard anything like it before.
Claude, Claude, you belong to me. You have given me your ring. You belong to me. You belong to me forever.
What did Claude do? Did he really awaken this sleeping goddess after so many centuries?
And now another story of the ball and chain as Kellogg's Special K presents Veronica and Jeff.
Oh, Jeffrey, isn't this romantic? Out in a quiet lake at night with you rowing the boat.
Yes, Veronica, it's really neat.
Jeffrey, what was that?
Frogs.
Frogs that go bonk?
They're pretty weird frogs.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're such a card. You have a ball and chain, like the ones they use in those Special K commercials.
Yes, Veronica. It symbolizes my few pounds of extra weight. But I'm going to get rid of it.
How?
By exercising. You know, like rowing this boat and eating smart at every meal, starting with a Special K breakfast.
You mean a 1 ounce bowl of high-protein Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, orange juice, and coffee?
Precisely. It's less than 240 calories, and it tastes delicious. It'll help me get rid of this ball and chain.
I'll help too, Jeff. After all, we're all in the same boat.
You have a ball and chain, too.
Your happy ending could begin with the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner? Hey, Mom, what you got?
It's time to get ready for the great outdoors, and your ShopRite supermarket has everything you'll need for cookout dinners and fun in the sun. And for this week's dinners, ShopRite is featuring whole grade A frying chickens, just 37 cents a pound. Roasting chickens up to 4 pounds, 47 cents a pound. Choice beef rib steaks, $1.19 a pound. ShopRite Franks, 89 cents a pound. Get all your outdoor cooking equipment and many great food values at your ShopRite supermarket.
Family, she wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
This is WOR New York, your Mystery Theater station.
You belong to me, Claude Louis. You are mine. No other woman can ever have you.
Claude. Claude?
Yes?
Darling, something's wrong.
I have a feeling...
I'm going to call the doctor.
Oh, no.
But you're ill.
No, I'm not ill.
Darling, please, get some rest. I'm sure you'll feel better in the morning.
Yes, I'm sure of it. I'll just sit here for a few minutes and smoke a pipe.
All right. Good night, Claude.
Good night.
My beloved Claude Louis. My beloved.
Who is that? Who's there?
Claude, you will come with me. You will live with the gods. You will live like a god. Leave this house. Leave this foolish mortal woman and come with me.
No.
Claude, I am the goddess of love. I am also the goddess of death.
No.
Let me alone.
Well, good morning, darling.
Good morning.
I had to appear to prepare an especially delicious breakfast, so I do hope you're hungry.
Ah, Mademoiselle Eloise. Monsieur Claude?
What is it, Rene?
Monsieur Claude, you asked me to see about the ring.
What ring? Oh, that ring.
Were you able to...
The ring just won't come off. It's like fused to the metal.
Could that be possible somehow?
No, sir. It is not possible unless you welded it on there, which you didn't.
Well, then what's to be done?
Nothing. Unless you want to cut the finger off.
Oh, no.
I am so tired of all this chatter about that silly ring.
Oh, thank you, Renee. I appreciate what you've done.
Yes, Monsieur Claude. Good day. I tried my best.
I'm sorry I bought that ridiculous statue.
She's hardly ridiculous.
And now you're starting to talk like Henri.
I'm sorry.
I keep asking myself, why did I have to fall in love with you?
Because I'm charming and handsome.
No, well, the sensible thing would have been to fall in love with Henri.
Darling, I'll go up and change and meet you at the tennis court. Listen, whoever you are, whatever you are, listen. I put that ring on your finger the way you place a hat on a rack or a coat on a hook. I wasn't thinking of... Well, I certainly didn't mean anything by it. So, if this is all a practical joke, fine. The joke's on me. But if you really are a goddess and you're taking this seriously, what would you want with me, anyhow?
You are my beloved.
I'm trying to explain. I must marry Eloise Calvert. I have no choice.
I am your bride. I will share you with no mortal woman. I will see you dead first.
I didn't know you were in the habit of talking to yourself.
Oh, Henri, what are you doing here?
Eloise sent me. Her lawyer has just arrived from Paris. He has papers for her to sign.
Oh.
In anticipation of your coming marriage, she's having considerable property signed over to you.
Oh.
Something wrong with you this morning?
Well yes, well, it's that damn statue.
Claude, I shouldn't say this.
Shouldn't say what?
I have good advice for you, even if it goes against my own interest. Please, forget about that statue.
Well, forget?
This whole affair about the ring and the mysterious fact that it won't come off is starting to frighten Eloise.
Frightened?
She doesn't like to be frightened.
Well, who does?
She's been fantastically rich all her life. She's always had everything she wanted by snapping her fingers. Except you.
Well, she's got me.
No, not quite yet. Instinctively, you know how to treat her. You don't fall at her feet the way the rest of us do. You maintain a kind of reserve. That's because you know all about women.
You flatter me.
Even now, you're playing her to perfection. True, it's a formality, but she wants that ritual declaration of love, that beautifully stated proposal of marriage, and you delay it exquisitely.
But I came here to propose.
You've already proposed to one goddess.
Stop that, will you?
The goddess of love. And now you intend to propose to another.
Eloise? A goddess?
Of course. The goddess of wealth and power. How fortunate. Each of these goddesses wants you as her consort.
Oh, Henri, sometimes I wonder about your sanity.
That's just another way of saying that you wonder about your own. Why won't the ring come off?
Well, there must be an explanation.
Yes, there is. You're the fiancé of Venus. She won't give you up.
I mean a rational explanation.
It makes sense to me. And it also makes sense to you. You don't have to admit it.
Well, I came here to propose to Eloise.
Why don't you do it?
I will. I'll take her out to dinner tonight, and I'll ask her to marry me.
What a lovely place.
A bit off the beaten track, darling.
And the food.
I wanted a perfect setting.
For what?
For the most important statement of my life.
Flatterer.
Of course I'm a flatterer. And you love flattery.
Doesn't every woman? Oh, I can see we're going to be a very straightforward couple.
Yes. Eloise,
Yes?
I want to ask you to...
I'm waiting.
You're mine, Claude. You gave me your ring.
But I told you...
Claude, you may play with other women. You may deceive other women. But no man in the history of the world has ever deceived me and lived. I am Venus. I am Aphrodite. I am Astarte. I am Isis. I am Ishtar.
But I only...
Hundreds, thousands, numberless races of men on this planet have worshipped me under numberless names. And now, I choose you. I choose you, Claude Louis. You belong to me. You are mine. You must leave this woman.
Claude.
I must be...
Darling, something is wrong.
No, I just feel very...
Very what? See, you can't say. You don't know. But I know.
Do you?
I spoke to Dr. Legrand. He told me all about men like you.
Men like me?
Yes. It has to do with the fear of becoming a husband.
But I have no fear of...
Yes, you do. Oh, you do. Way down, deep down in the subconscious where you're unaware of it. You're giving up the old, wild freedom. And you're just not sure you want to...
Oh, but I am...
Well, I intend to be patient. I love you.
Good evening, Claude.
Oh, well, good evening, Monsieur Ormond.
I was dining here with some associates, and I thought I would come over to pay my respects.
Oh, yes. Darling, may I present Monsieur Ormond?
I am honored, mademoiselle.
Enchanté.
Well, Claude, I had expected...
Yes?
Apropos of our last discussion, I had expected a settlement or a statement.
Yes, I know.
As a matter of fact, my associates were saying just now, why do you suppose we have not heard...
Reassure your associates for me, monsieur, that everything is in order.
Of course. So happy to have made your acquaintance, mademoiselle.
Darling, what was he talking about?
Oh, business proposition.
Claude, Monsieur Armand, he's sitting at that table. Look, over to the right, you see?
Well, what about it?
Well, look at those two men at the table with him. He called them his business associates.
I suppose they are.
Well, then I cannot imagine what sort of business he could be engaged in. Those two men are the worst-looking thugs I've ever seen in my life.
Now, darling, you shouldn't judge by appearance. They could be tender-hearted, church-going, devoted family men.
Oh, no. Hired killers would be more likely. Darling, take me home. I'm frightened.
Good morning, Claude.
Morning, Henri.
You seem to have quite an appetite this morning.
Well, they say the condemned man ate a hearty meal.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure. Have you seen Eloise?
No, she's still asleep.
Well, that's not like her.
She's worried about you.
Well, everything's all right. We can be married tomorrow if she wants.
Oh? You've decided?
Of course.
And what about the other one?
What other one?
As if you don't know.
I'm not sure I understand.
The Venus, your own Venus deal.
Oh, that. Let me tell you, I didn't sleep last night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was good for me. Henri, I did some thinking.
And?
And I called myself every stupid name I could remember.
Why?
If I keep this up, this groundless, mindless, idiotic fear, or apprehension, if I keep imagining she talks to me, well, I can very well lose Eloise.
Eloise is very much in love with you.
Love. Love is an illusion. You fall in, you fall out. I can read women. This ring business is beginning to irritate her. Worse, it's starting to bore her.
I've been warning you.
What really happened? I needed a resting place for a ring, so I absently placed it on the finger of the statue. A lifeless metal statue. You follow me?
You're telling the story.
Due to some phenomenon that probably has a rational explanation, if we ever find it, the ring seems to adhere to the finger of the statue. Is that true?
Obviously, the ring's still there.
But that's all that happened.
Who said anything else?
You did.
Me?
You. You're the one who invested the statue with all kinds of magic and mysterious qualities.
Well, I was merely stating some facts.
Oh, yes, of course. But you have an ulterior motive. If you could get me upset, fire my imagination, perhaps, something might happen, and you could have Eloise for yourself.
I'm not aware that I've tried to upset you.
No, not consciously, perhaps. Well, in any event, it's all over. And I certainly will not jeopardize my chance of becoming a billionaire because of an overactive imagination. Do you understand me?
Yes. But I wish you'd be honest with yourself. You said you absently placed the ring on her finger. Is that really true? Or did you do it as a joke? Or did you, as millions of men before you, actually fall in love with her?
Oh, no, Ari. We're not having any more of that. Well, old girl, I must say it was exciting. It was even fun for a while. Venus deal. Oh, you must have been something in your day. All woman. Oh, no. No, madame. I'm wise to these little tricks of the mind. Not this time. Not again.
Claude.
Of course, Claude. But you're in my head. You're part of my imagination.
Claude, you belong to me.
I belong to no one. I belong to myself.
Foolish Claude. Do you think you can fight me?
You're just an image in my own brain.
Claude, you don't love Eloise. You're in love with love. Claude, I am love.
I don't believe.
Yes, Claude, you believe. You believe. The love I offer you is beyond dreams, beyond imagination.
No, I'm not listening.
A glorious love.
No, please.
Don't be frightened. Come with me. Live with me. Live like a god. A god. Live on love.
No.
You asked me, Claude. You gave me your ring. You wanted me. You always wanted me. Say it.
No.
Say it, Claude. Say the truth.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Then, come with me.
Now.
Now.
That's it. That's how it happened. That's how it happened. I know how it happened.
Claude. What are you doing standing out here and yelling like a maniac?
It's another electrical storm. We'd better get inside.
Oh, yes. Come, Claude.
Now I know.
What do you know?
I know why the ring is stuck on her finger.
Oh, do you?
Is it so important after all?
Oh, yes, it's important. Do you remember what Rene said? He said it looked as if the ring is fused to the metal. Well, look closely. Doesn't it appear that way?
Well, what's the difference?
He also said it was impossible unless you welded it on. And, of course, you didn't.
No, I didn't. But someone else did.
Who?
Perhaps not a who, but a what.
What did happen?
We were playing tennis. I took the ring off, placed it on her finger.
Well, we already know all that. Tell us the rest of it.
You know the rest of it, too.
Claude.
Of course you do. We kept playing tennis, and then suddenly there was a peal of thunder, a flash of lightning, Well, don't you see?
No.
The lightning, it must have struck the statue in such a way as to have fused the ring to her finger.
Well, that's impossible.
No, it's not impossible. It could have happened.
Well, then it answers the question and finally settles the problem.
It's the only way we can account for it.
Unless?
No, Henri, no more of these unlesses.
So now, can we forget about it?
Absolutely, my darling. Eloise, marry me.
What?
I said marry me.
But I was expecting...
You were expecting a romantic speech, poetry, sweet music, sparkling wine.
Yes.
Shall I try again?
Oh, no. No, I accept.
May I be the first to offer congratulations?
Of course, Henri. You fought a good fight.
But the better man won.
Eloise, my darling, may I ask for a wedding present now?
Oh, anything.
Good. Could you get rid of this statue?
My rival?
Well?
Of course. We'll donate her to a museum.
No, I mean get rid of her.
How?
Have her destroyed, melted down.
Oh?
But Claude, she's priceless.
Well, I'll have it taken care of tomorrow.
Well, can it be done today?
Well, yes. Rene will be back in the morning and...
Oh, well, I suppose it'll be all right.
He'll take care of her. First thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. A toast to the happy couple.
Congratulations. Long life.
Thank you all. Claude and I are so happy. Please, everybody, eat, drink, dance. Help us enjoy this glorious occasion.
You look beautiful, my dear.
Oh, I always dreamed of a night like this. Are you happy?
Oh, yes.
Completely?
Yes.
Todd, you look so thoughtful.
Do I?
Very.
I'm only thinking of us.
Only of us?
My darling, in this whole wide world, there are only the two of us.
But, Claude, is something the matter? You're frowning.
I wasn't aware.
You're not ill?
No, of course not.
You don't look very comfortable.
Well, perhaps it's a bit close in here. I may just need a breath of fresh air.
Oh, I'll go with you.
No, dear. We both can't leave our guests. I'll just step outside for a moment. It'll do me good.
Claude Louis.
No.
You fool.
I won't believe it.
What won't you believe?
I won't believe you are there.
You have dared to trifle with the heart of a goddess.
I don't know what you're saying.
I offered you my love. I would have given myself to you.
I've got to fight this. I am not mad. I've got to fight.
Of all the uncounted millions since the very beginning of the human race, I offered myself to you.
I accept this as an hallucination.
Fool! Look at me. Look at me!
No. It can't be. It can't be. You're human. You're flesh and blood. You're a woman.
Yes. A woman. A woman spurned. A woman scorned.
I didn't know. How was I to know?
I told you.
Forgive me. Please, forgive me.
Forgive you? Come to my arms. Embrace me. Know what you might have had. And know what you have lost forever.
I love you. I love you.
Fool!
Please. You're crushing me.
You love me. But now you can only die for the love of me.
Oh, please. Let me love you. Let me go. No. Help.
Claude, where are you? Eloise is worried about...
Claude? Oh, no.
Don't come close, Eloise. Don't look, Eloise, don't. The statue, it fell on him.
He's...
Yes. He's dead. The statue just crushed him.
Oh, look.
What is it?
Look at the ring. That ring.
I don't see the ring.
Look.
Where?
On Claude's finger.
Oh.
The ring is back on Claude's finger.
Well, you have a choice. You can believe that the goddess Venus fell in love with Claude, became angry when he jilted her, and killed him. Or you can believe that he went out for a walk, and the rain had softened the statue's foundation, and it just fell on him. There were also the enforcers. All the ingredients are there for a provocative stew. Use what you like, and stir to your taste. I'll be back shortly.
Thought you couldn't afford to fly to California this summer, TWA has some good news for you. You can. Thanks to TWA's demand schedule service, you can fly to California for only $125. Just make your reservations 90 days before you want to go and put down a $20 deposit for each way. For all the details, call your travel agent. TWA's demand schedule service. Now you can afford to fly to California.
Our cast included Norman Rose, Joan Lovejoy, Evie Juster, Dan Ocko, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
WR Mystery Theater has been brought to you by ShopRite Supermarkets, where you get a lot more for a little less, and by Suburban Savings, with offices throughout North New Jersey. The preceding Mystery Theater program is furnished by the CBS Radio Network.
This is Mary Helen McPhillips. Remember a few years back when you couldn't get a newspaper to read because there was a strike? Well, that prospect once again looms on the horizon. And tomorrow morning at 10:15, my guest will be Sheldon Zelaznik, editorial director of New York Magazine. And he'll explain the problems that currently face New York City's daily newspapers. So join me at 10:15.
I'm Fulton Lewis in the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, D.C. Now, my commentary. President Nixon's edited Watergate transcripts were formally delivered to Congress today with a White House brief that pronounced them proof of the president's innocence and quoted him as ordering amid the unraveling cover-up a year ago that, quote, everybody in this case is to talk and to tell the truth. In a volume roughly the size of a big city telephone book, 1,308 pages of transcripts were sent to the House Judiciary Committee for its inquiry into the president's possible impeachment. Separate copies in manila envelopes were delivered to the 38 committee members individually. They are going to meet tomorrow to decide whether to accept them in lieu of the White House tape recordings that the panel had originally subpoenaed. With them went a 50-page brief that was prepared by the president's impeachment attorney, James St. Clair, which wove presidential quotations together with a White House account of what the president actually said and did during the crucial phase of the Watergate cover-up attempt. The St. Clair paper concludes, quote, throughout the period of the Watergate affair, the raw material of these recorded confidential conversations establishes that the president had no prior knowledge of the break-in and that he had no knowledge of any cover-up prior to March 21st, 1973. In all of the thousands of words spoken, even though they often are unclear and ambiguous, not once does it appear that the President of the United States was engaged in any criminal plot to obstruct justice. While the official business today was the delivery of those papers to the House panel, their public release was perhaps more crucial to the President's latest effort to clear himself and settle the Watergate scandal. For the President himself said Monday night that in releasing the papers, he was placing his trust in the basic fairness of the American people to examine the evidence and see that he sought only to do what was right. One of the quotes included in the St. Clair brief today as evidence of the President's determination to clear up Watergate came from an April 15th, 1973 conversation with Assistant Attorney General Henry Peterson about the refusal of conspirator G. Gordon Liddy to cooperate with the government prosecutors. Quote, I want him to be sure to understand that as far as the President is concerned, everybody in this case is to talk and to tell the truth. You are to tell everybody, and you don't even have to call me on that with anybody. You just say that those are your orders. Another statement from an April 14th conversation with former aide John Ehrlichman reads this way, quote, we have to prick the boil and take the heat. Now that's what we're doing here. We're going to prick this boil and take the heat. I am not overstating. Within hours after the presidential material was delivered to the Judiciary Committee today, portions of the transcripts were obtained from House members, but they were, as St. Clair had said they would be, often unclear and ambiguous. That was the case, for example, with a March 21st, 1973 discussion of demands of the original Watergate burglary defendants for payoffs to keep them silent about the involvement of others. At one point in that very critical conversation, according to the transcript, there was a discussion about payoff demands and the likelihood that they would later be followed by demands for executive clemency, both of which President Nixon rejected. But later, the transcript shows this exchange in a discussion of the demand of Watergate conspirator E. Howard Hunt that he be paid $120,000. The exchange goes like this, President Nixon saying, you have no choice but to come up with the $120,000 or whatever it is, right? John Dean III, then White House counsel, replied, that's right. The White House brief said flatly that the President rejected the payment of $120,000 or any other sum to Hunt or to any other Watergate defendants. But St. Clair noted today the transcript does contain ambiguities and statements which, taken out of context, could be construed to have a variety of meanings. In prefacing his narrative account of the President's statements and actions, St. Clair repeated the President's offer to have New Jersey Democrat Representative Peter Rodino, the Judiciary Committee's chairman, and Michigan Republican Representative Edward Hutchinson, the ranking Republican member of the panel, listen to the actual tape recordings, quote, to satisfy themselves that a full and complete disclosure of the pertinent contents of those tapes had indeed been made. The White House brief said unnecessary expletives, characterizations of third parties, and material not involving the President's conduct had been edited out of the transcripts. Deletions were indicated with parenthetical notes in the body of the transcripts. The transcripts did bear out the President's prediction that they would end the speculation about the Watergate issue. For example, on February 28th of 1973, during a discussion of a formation of a special Senate committee headed by Senator Sam Ervin to investigate Watergate, the President said, I frankly say that I would rather they would be partisan rather than for them to have a facade of fairness and all the rest. Ervin always talks about his being a great constitutional lawyer. On September 15th, 1972, the President, John Dean, and H.R. Haldeman discussed the fact that a General Accounting Office auditor was examining presidential campaign contribution records at the request of House Speaker Carl Albert. Haldeman, during that conversation, said, maybe we better put a little heat on him. The him being Albert. The President responded, I think so too. Haldeman then said, what we ought to do is to call the Speaker and say, I regret that you caused us to do this to you. And the President responded, why don't you see if Harlow, he was referring to presidential aide Bryce Harlow, why don't you see if Harlow will tell him that? But the initial incomplete transcripts that became available on Capitol Hill proved, as the presidential lawyer St. Clair had predicted, very inconclusive on the primary issues of precisely when the President learned of various aspects of the Watergate scandal. The White House brief, constructed generally along chronological lines, notes that no one, not even Dean as the president's chief accuser, has alleged that the president had advance knowledge of the wiretapping burglary at the Democratic Party headquarters on June 17th of 1972. It quotes the transcript of a Nixon conversation with Dean. This one was held on February 28, 1973, in which the president said, quote, "Of course, I am not dumb, and I will never forget when I heard about this forced entry and bugging. I thought, what is this? What is the matter with these people? Are they crazy? I thought they were nuts." Dean has testified that after a September 15th, 1972 meeting with the president, he had, in his words, the impression that the president was well aware of what had been going on regarding the success of keeping the White House out of the Watergate scandal. And, in Dean's words, "I also had expressed to him my concern that I was not confident that the cover-up could be maintained indefinitely." But the White House brief, submitted to the Congress today, said that the tape of that meeting does not support Dean's testimony that the president was aware of the cover-up of the Watergate involvement. It quotes the president as saying, "Oh, well, this is a can of worms, as you know, a lot of this stuff that went on, and the people who work this way are awfully embarrassed. But the way you have handled all this seems to me has been very skillful in putting your fingers in the leaks that have sprung here and have sprung up there." St. Clair today explained that the president, in that sentence, was speaking about the politics of the matter, such as civil suits, countersuits, Democratic efforts to exploit Watergate as a political issue, and the like. He was not speaking in the context of any plot to obstruct justice. The reaction of the House Judiciary Committee to the president's actions of the past 24 hours is not yet known. This afternoon, Democrats and Republican members of that panel were caucusing separately, and tomorrow they'll get together and render their joint opinion. The president, I imagine, will be happy if he has succeeded only in rallying the Republican members of that panel into his corner. A partisan split within the impeachment inquiry would serve to discredit the inquiry to the point where the entire probe would have little, if any, public credibility. Today, some of the more ardent Nixon critics on the House panel, specifically Massachusetts Democrat Representative Drinan and California's Democrat Representative Waldy, stated that in their view, the president's response to the Judiciary Committee subpoena was totally unacceptable. They will take nothing more than the complete original tapes, not edited transcripts. They, in fact, will not even consider the president's suggestion that the full tapes be heard by Chairman Rodino and Representative Hutchinson. That will not be acceptable. They want the full tapes turned over to the full committee. At the very least, they want them heard in their entirety by the minority and majority counsels of the committee. The majority view of the committee Democrats, then, we can expect to be a little less extreme than that. The Republican view, we can expect to be even more moderate. I'll have more for you now in just a moment.
Service. We're big on that. When you buy an airline ticket, you're buying service. And at Ozark, we try to give you your money's worth. Service in making reservations, planning your trip, at the ticket counter, service on board. Ozark didn't get where it is by being small in things that really count. Service, we're big on that. Go Ozark Jet to Champaign, Urbana, Peoria, and Springfield, Illinois. Call Ozark or your travel agent.
What the president has done, in effect, has been to throw the ball back into the Judiciary Committee's court. His approach last night, I think, seemed fair and equitable from a public opinion point of view, and public opinion, as I have stressed before, is going to have a tremendous impact on the entire impeachment process. The president, it is true, did not turn over the complete tapes. To have done so, he felt, and I think properly so, would have established a precedent which may have permanently impaired the separation of powers, the part of the Constitution which sets up the three branches of government as being separate but equal. It would have also permanently endangered the right of privacy and independence of the executive branch of our government. The president, on the other hand, did not invoke executive privilege in its entirety. He seemed to be cooperative, very cooperative with the impeachment inquiry, and he seemed to be very cooperative with the public as a whole, making the heretofore secret transcripts of the Watergate tapes public material. From the Mutual Studios in Washington, I'm Fulton Lewis, and that's the top of the news as it looks from here.
Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination, to the fear you can hear. There is a green land called the Emerald Isle, where stardust dapples shining lakes that sparkle against blue mountains which fall away to winding bays. But there are darker sides to Ireland, currents that run deep, a wasting, bitter civil war in the north, and everywhere, lurking behind the shamrock and beneath the laughter, a dark world of legend, of banshees and warlocks, of voices on the wind against which the traveler should stop his ears, or the sound of the death bell. Our mystery drama, The Death Bell, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Michael Tolan. It is sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser, and by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Hello, this is Goldilocks. It seems like only yesterday that I was a little girl tasting porridge. You know, this one's too hot. This one's too cold. And now I conduct taste tests on diet drinks. And there's one I must tell you about. Sugar-free diet 7-Up. It has a fresh, natural, delicious taste. It drives my taste meter crazy. Sugar-free diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
Computers. We're big on that. You deserve an airline that remembers your name. Ozark's computer helps us not to forget your name, reservation, connections, your return plans. At Ozark, a big impersonal computer helps us deal more personally with you. Computers, we're big on that at Ozark Airlines.
Now go Ozark's evening jet at 6:45 to Washington with through service to Champaign-Urbana and Peoria.
Since time immemorial, man has sought to trace the future in the lines of the palm. The best answer always is, if you truly believe. As in spite of herself, it would appear that Sheila Doyle does.
The moment I clapped eyes on Benny's cousin from the States, Brian Mackin, there was a bogle tugging at my skirts. And the one look in his hand ran the blood in me cold, for I never saw a shadow plainer.
Brian?
Oh, yes, Denny.
Well, what are you doing over by the window?
I'm trying to see where that bell came from.
What bell?
It's been ringing ever since you went up with Sheila, don't you? Well, that's funny.
What?
It stopped. You didn't hear it?
Nope.
Well, maybe you're just used to it. Don't you have some kind of a bell around here?
Well, the church?
No, not a church bell. Something much smaller, like, on an animal, maybe.
Well, there aren't any animals around.
Oh, well, maybe I'm just hearing things after that scare Sheila threw into me.
Oh, look, Brian, I'm sorry about that. Sheila's as level-headed as they come about everything except some of the old country superstitions. She wasn't kidding, you know. She really believes in a lot of this.
Well, forget it, Denny. I'm not worried about me. I was only concerned about Sheila. She looked all shook up.
Oh, she was embarrassed. I think she felt she'd made a fool of herself. I don't think she'll be able to face you again tonight, but by morning she'll cook you a breakfast that'll stick to your ribs. You are going to stay, huh?
Oh, I can take the car and run down to the local inn.
No, sir, not on your life. My cousin comes all the way from the States. I don't let you get away till we do some catching up.
Catching up?
Yes. I want to hear all about your wife.
My wife?
Yes. Sheila and I are so sorry she didn't come along with you.
She wasn't feeling herself at the last moment.
Yes, I know, so you said.
You see, this isn't so much a trip. It's more a sort of pilgrimage.
A what?
I want to find Carrie Kleiner. I want to see it for myself.
If it exists.
What do you mean?
Well, Brian, I always understood it was just a family legend.
You mean to say you've been here in Ireland now for 3 years and you haven't tried to look it up?
Man, it's near 250 miles from here and I haven't a car. Anyways, it wasn't my side of the family.
Well, it was mine. Or should have been.
At the very least from my mother's side, you know that.
Well, I honestly don't. All I know is that my mother used to ramble on when she got older about how there was royalty in the blood somewhere far back and the ancestors lived in a castle in the north.
Carrig, Clana. It was a castle.
Huh?
The Carrigs were said to be in the direct line of descent from Brian Boru himself. And it was a family custom to name the residence for the family name and for the wife who reigned over it. My great-great-grandmother, Clana, was married to the last of the line, Lord Carrig.
Your great-great-grandfather?
That's one of the things I'd like to find out. See, I think he was.
You think?
Lord Carrig didn't. He killed Clana and threw the man he said was her lover from the balcony over the sea to be smashed to death on the rocks below. And he sent my great-grandfather to be brought up by his wife's family, the Mackins.
Your great-grandfather? You mean Carrig's son?
He refused to recognize him. Claimed he was illegitimate.
I see. Well, now, look. Looking for an old lost castle is as good a way as any of spending a vacation. You'll get a chance to see a good bit of Ireland on the way. Now, come on. Let's go get your bag out of the car, and I'll show you to your room. For the first time in our marriage, I found myself getting a little annoyed with Sheila as I walked Brian to the car. There was that vague kind of family connection between us. You write off as cousins, but mostly what we were was old friends and classmates. Now, with Sheila's superstitions jogging my imagination, I was uneasy with Brian. A feeling, thank the Lord, that a few minutes in the soft Irish night blew away.
Oh, it's good to be alive on a night like this. It makes me think of...
What, Brian?
Commencement. The end of the term, anyway. or after the last ball game of the season. Tired, but loose, you remember?
Well, for pitchers, maybe. Catchers with old football knees took longer to unwind. Well, so, how's the old rat race?
Advertising? Oh, it still goes round and round. Hamsters on a cage wheel. How's the writing?
Slow, but sure. And I make an honest buck cutting peat to keep myself in shape.
You're a happy man.
Oh, what more could I ask for? Wait till you see your namesake tomorrow.
Little Brian. How soon will he be 2?
About the time his little sister comes to join him. 6 months or so.
Oh, hey, you're having another?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's solid, man. It's solid.
Well, you know I always liked kids. Nothing like having your own, though. And how about you, senior citizen?
What does that mean?
Well, you have been married longer than Sheila and me. When are you and Gloria going to have yours?
As a matter of fact, Gloria got pregnant 7 months ago.
Oh, and you're trying to keep it secret. So that's why she didn't come along, huh?
That's one of the reasons. But come on, I can't keep you away from your wife any longer. Here, just let me get my gear and we can hit the sack.
Oh, there's no hurry. For my money, we could sit up all night and shoot the breeze.
Well, that'd suit me if I didn't have a long journey ahead of me tomorrow.
Oh, I see. You're still determined to go chasing rainbows.
I heard the door close when they left the house, and had gone to the window to watch Denny and Brian talk at the car. I couldn't hear the words, but at least Brian's arms slung around Denny's shoulder eased my mind enough to make me go to bed. Still and all, even with the soothing sound of their voices rumbling below and their laughter, it was long before I fell into an uneasy sleep. Danny?
Oh, I'm sorry. Shh, Sheila, shh. Darling, go to sleep.
That's all right. I was half on to waking. Turn the light on.
No need. I'm all undressed. Just come into bed.
And did you get Brian settled?
Yes. He's snoring already. By the time I closed up and looked in on little Brian, he was to the world. Darling, what's wrong? You shivered.
Oh, 'twas maybe a hair limped over my grave. Hold me.
Who needs to be asked? Sheila, you're wrong about Brian.
What way?
We've had a long talk, just like old times. I never felt closer to him.
Well, I know you've missed him since you came away here.
We were always more like brothers than cousins. Well, I'm not saying he isn't tense and all wound up, but that's old stuff to me, Akushla.
You're making to be a real Irishman again.
Well, next to you because of you, and grateful I am.
Are you for real, Danny?
Don't you know? Oh, Sheila, I used to be all tied up in knots like Brian, and that's all it is, you see.
Well, I hope you're right.
You haven't heard the best news yet.
What?
Well, you're not the only one that's carrying a heart beneath your own. Gloria's expecting.
Brian's wife? When?
Before you. That's why she didn't come along this trip.
Well, that's good news, Denny. I want to be happy for your friend, your cousin, your brother, almost.
Well, so you can be. You can be. Sheila. What did you think you saw in Brian's palm?
Don't ask me. First of all, because I have no words to tell you. And second, I'm praying to sweet Mary to forgive me. For I'm hoping it was himself who's only giving me a warning not to meddle in the Lord's business.
The night is quiet outside, except for the tinkle of that far-off bell. There's a kind of peace. I had to stop here with Denny, touch normal life, if only for a moment. I will not think back, and tomorrow must wait till I find it. I know what it will bring to so many people. I wonder what it will bring to me, Brian Mackin. The last thing I hear is the bell, lulling me to sleep. Well, that does it. All set for the road.
Oh, I wish you didn't have to go so soon.
So do I.
Will you stop by then to see us on your way back?
I don't know if I'll be coming this way, Sheila.
Oh, try to make it. And Brian.
Yes?
The farther north you get, particularly beyond Sligo, hug the coastline all the way. Please, don't go near the border.
Ulster, you mean?
There's still a lot of trouble.
I wish you'd forget the whole thing.
Except I won't.
Well, man, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. And if there ever was a Carrigclena, it's probably nothing but ruins by now.
If there ever was one, I'll find it. And I think I will.
And if you should, what would it prove?
I don't know.
Goodbye, Brian. Come again.
I'll try. Bye, Denny, old pal.
I'll only say au revoir.
And it's glad I am to have met you, and forgive me for last night.
The gypsy's warning?
I don't know what came over me.
Think nothing of it.
Well, so long, chum, and drive carefully. I hope you had a good night's sleep.
With the good company and the good air, what else? Even the little bell I finally got used to. And off I went like a log. So here goes. Hail and farewell.
What was that about a bell, Denny?
Search me, Mavourneen. When I came downstairs last night after I took you up to bed, Brian was by the window. He insisted he could hear a little bell ringing somewhere, but I couldn't hear it.
What kind of a bell was that?
Like it was on an animal, he said. Not like a cow, but more, say, like a goat.
The Lord and all his saints be praised.
Not goat. What is it, Sheila?
We should call him back. He should get out of Ireland.
Oh, what are you getting all riled up about now, honey?
I told you he was holding the shadow of death in his palm. Now I know I made no mistake. There's no bell in this town he could have heard, like you said. Except one.
What?
The one that's only heard by him it sounds for, and I know it for sure. 'Twas the death bell.
Is Brian Mackin really marked for death? And if so, how soon? And how? We will return shortly with Act 2.
Some beer drinkers have funny ideas about beer. They think beer improves with age, like wine. Well, find a brewmaster, though. You'll find a beer drinker who knows better. The Budweiser brewmaster says it all depends on how beer is aged. Just letting beer sit in lagering tanks makes it older, not necessarily better. That even goes for keeping a case around the house for a couple of months. But there is one kind of aging that's good for beer. The Budweiser kind. Beechwood aging. In this kind of aging, something happens. It lets all the flavor of the choicest hops and best barley malt that go into Budweiser get through to you. Sure, it takes more time and trouble to brew Budweiser that way. But brewing beer right does make a difference. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Hey, ma'am, what's for dinner? Hey, ma'am, what you got?
It's time to get ready for the great outdoors, and your ShopRite supermarket has everything you'll need for cookout dinners and fun in the sun. And for this week's dinners, ShopRite is featuring whole grade A frying chickens, just 37 cents a pound. Roasting chickens, up to 4 pounds, 47 cents a pound. Choice beef rib steaks, $1.19 a pound. ShopRite Franks, just 89 cents a pound. Get all your outdoor cooking equipment and many great food values at your ShopRite supermarket this week.
She loves the family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
250 miles is a short day's drive as we reckon it in the good old US of A. But through the length of Ireland, stopping more and more in the last 50 miles to ask the still unanswered question, do you know of a castle in these parts called Carelessly? It's a long, long trip that at last has brought Brian Mackin to a little bridge across a valley stream. Stopping there to eat the lunch Sheila put up for him before he left, he has scarcely finished it as twilight falls. Then, as he dozes for a moment, back against a tree...
What? Pull him up! Pull him up!
I can't control him!
Hold on, don't get thrown! Oh, boy! Oh, easy! Hold up there, hold up! All right, easy, boy, easy. All right. Are you all right, ma'am?
Yes, and I'm much beholden to you, sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure. What happened?
Well, something frightened my horse. I lost control. May I have the reins, sir?
All right, now, stay, boy, stay. Here you are.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
Brian Mackin.
How do you do? I am the Lady Clena Carrig.
What?
I said I'm Lady Carrig.
Of Carelessly?
Well, naturally.
Then it does exist.
I should hope so. I was just on my way home.
Where is it?
Just across the bridge and over the hill. Oh, now that I've regained my composure. On my soul, you do look familiar. I didn't catch your name.
Brian Mackin.
Oh, no. You must be mad to try to intercept me here. Run, Brian. Run for your life. Reach him. Yes.
Wait a minute, my lady.
If you value your life, stay away from me.
I am frozen at her sudden flight. Then suddenly I find myself running after her, laboring for breath over the last burst to the crest of the hill. Oh, the light going. But where? She couldn't have just disappeared into thin air. But she had. In the lowering darkness, I can see the long sweep of the countryside down to the rocks and sea cliffs. And there's no sign of horse or rider, or of any destination they might be bound for, nor any road for a horse to follow, much less my modern car. For the moment, I realize I must return to my car and seek some lodging for the night.
Danny, is that you?
Well, who else were you expecting, Sheila?
Oh, darling, I'm that glad to see you. It's late you are.
Oh, we cut a few extra squares tonight as long as the light was with us. Here, what is it, little bird? You're all aflutter.
It's Brian's on my mind. Oh, you'll laugh at me again, I suppose. But as I was laying our little one down with the sun just gone over the hill, I thought I heard him calling, Clena.
Oh, now, Sheila, what's got into you?
I wish I knew. I only know somehow we should never have let Brian go off for the north. Something terrible is going to happen to him.
And if there is, what could we do to stop it?
Well, we should try.
Would you have me follow him on Shank's mare? How fast do you think I could walk it?
Well, you could borrow the McFadden's car or Seamus' motorcycle.
And if I did, where would I head for?
Oh, don't fault me, darling, or make me the fool. It's just a feeling comes over me and I can't help it. I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Sheila, now please, stop worrying about Brian. If anyone ever knew how to take care of himself, that's the guy. I said it with authority because I meant it, or I thought I meant it. Or I tried to mean it because I wanted to reassure Sheila. The truth is, I was shaken again. I'd been 3 years living in Ireland, long enough to fall under all of her spells, even the black ones. And I'd have given anything to know where Brian was at that moment. And what he was doing.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Sorry. Closing time is posted.
I wasn't looking for a drink as much as I was for accommodations tonight.
Well, now, as to that...
I'm willing to pay well for it.
An American, is it? Well, for that much, I suppose we could be after finding your room and a bite to sup.
And perhaps a little information?
We're not for doing much talking around these parts, in particular to strangers. What would you want to know?
Well, something very simple, I hope. Would either of you know where I could find a place called Carelessly?
Carelessly? Yes, no. What would be after bringing it to these parts looking for the likes of Carelessly?
Well, till late this afternoon, only a dim hope of finding it after all these years. For private reasons.
Oh, and what would the private reasons be?
Family ones. My great-grandfather was born there.
Was he now? And what was it that late this afternoon gave you the good hope of finding Carelessly?
I ran into someone who lives there.
Who lives there? Paddy?
Will you hold your tongue, Mick? And who would you have met that said they was from the castle?
A very beautiful woman. A girl, actually, who said she was the Lady Clena Carrig.
Oh, the Lord and his saints preserve us.
The Lady Clena? Where was this then?
For about 5 miles or so north of here. There's a road goes winding down to a little bridge and then goes up a rise on the other side, but sort of peters out.
Oh, that's the old Ballybrig across the Scalanore.
Did you drive your car across that bridge?
No, I stopped this side of it because the going was getting so rough.
Sure, it's lucky you didn't drive on it. It might have carried away with you.
That bridge has been condemned for anything but foot travel as long as I can remember.
But why?
Because it doesn't lead to anywhere anymore.
It leads to Carelessly somehow.
How would you know that?
Because the lady was bound for there on her horse.
Ah, was it a big bay mare with a mane as white as snow?
Yes, that's the one.
And the woman? How was she dressed?
Why, she was in sort of a green velvet dress with a big hat, like an old-fashioned riding habit, you'd say.
Oh, Mary bless us.
And the good Lord save us all. Old-fashioned it is for sure. For the Lady Clena has been these 100 years and more.
No, this was a young woman.
She was only past her 21st year when she died. That was no real woman you saw this afternoon, stranger. That was her ghost.
But I talked to her.
Did you now, then? What you saw was never real. And you can take that as gospel.
Well, perhaps. I hadn't eaten all day, and I did take a nap under a tree.
And 'twas twilight, when all fancies begin.
We'll let it go at that, anyway. But Carelessly, is that just fancy, too?
Well, now, as to that...
Must you always put your oar in, Mick? I'm talking to the gentleman here, Mr...
Mackin. Brian Mackin.
It is a good Irish name.
I mentioned that my family came from Ireland.
So you did. And at least you've had the sense God gave you to come back. I'm Paddy Flynn, and the little runt here is Mickey Mahan.
The top of the evening to you. Is it back you are to stay, Mr. Markin?
That depends on what I find at Carelessly.
It's little you'll find there. Deserted and empty, and blown by the winds for a century. It's not but a ruin. Not worth the effort to go by it.
And sometimes at nightfall, there's a woman's voice that'll call, come away, and ill betide the man who listens.
Well, just the same, I want to see Carelessly. Can you guide me there?
Not by night. I wouldn't stir out by night for all the gold in a leprechaun's hoard. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. It's time we were all to bed. Come, I'll show you your room, Mr. Mackin.
Do you think he's from the police?
I don't think so, but I'm taking the chances.
Sure, and what are you doing there?
I'm making Mr. Mackin a little nightcap, as he requested. Only, 'twill be a little stronger than he expected.
How is that, Paddy?
Sure, I'm giving him a little extra dividend. Your namesake, as you might say.
Who will that be at all?
Mickey Finn.
I never heard tell of him.
Well, now, that's because he emigrated to Chicago, USA, long before your time and mine. But he gave his name to what's in this little bottle here.
Well, looks like no more than bog water.
It'll make you sleep a deal sounder. Now then, you'll take this drink up to him, whilst I go arrange for the truck. It is a good thing we have a full moon to work with this night.
To work?
Isn't it obvious the guns are no longer safe at Carriclana? We'll have to have them up and away over the border by morning, before our American gets to nosing about.
Wish 'twere that going by the castle by the night.
How else?
But you'll be walking again by the full moon. You heard Mr. Mackin saw her abroad and scarce before dark.
What kind of soldier are you, Mick, that starts at shadows? Now, let's have no more nonsense out of you. And away up with the drink to Mr. Mackin.
I look at my watch. It's just after midnight. The nightcap is untasted on the table beside my bed. I don't trust it. I don't trust a lot of things. But where to get rid of it? A vagrant memory drifts across my mind of jokes among old country people. A quick look under the bed, and there is the receptacle. It's a matter of a moment to empty the glass in it, and none too soon. I can hear stealthy footsteps approaching.
Don't use the curse, Mick, unless there's trouble.
If there is, I'll put him to sleep myself.
Mr. Mackin? Mr. Mackin? I think he's away. Follow me.
He's to the world.
We'll check that out. He's drunk it.
Will it keep him quiet long enough?
8 to 10 hours. And even when he wakes, he'll not want to leave his bed. Now come away, man. We've much to do.
Lying on my bed, snoring, pretending to be asleep, I have listened to everything. But the fall of that heavy lock tells me once and for all, I am a prisoner. But as I wait for them to leave the house, I know that nothing will keep me from Carriclana. I have an appointment there that's been waiting 100 years. And even now, in the still of the night, I can hear the far-off tinkle of that bell and a voice crying.
I will return shortly with Act 3.
I stand by the window, carefully on the side where the moonlight cannot cast my shadow, and watch the courtyard of the inn below. A small truck like a weapons carrier is there, and Patty and Mick climb into it. In a moment, it has gone to a destination I can only guess. By the time I am out the window, clambering to the courtyard and into my car, there is no hope of following. Particularly when I find my distributor cap gone and my car useless. It's a long, agonizing walk for 5 miles, even on a moonlit night. And by the time I have crossed the bridge and climbed to the ridge above, I am at the ragged edge of exhaustion. But there is a reward. Far below, against the restless sea, there are pinpoints of light that move. I am near the end of my pilgrimage, and the bell is sounding again.
Danny. Danny.
What is it, Sheila?
The phone, it's ringing.
Well, what time is it?
It's 3:30 in the morning.
Well, who could be calling us now?
I don't know. I have been lying here awake, afraid that something was about to happen. Will you go down now and answer it, or shall I?
All right. I'm on my way, but who?
It's Brian. Or something about him. And whatever it is, no bell that rings in the night brings anything but ill luck.
Is that the last of them? Not by a long shot. And the moon, it's off away behind the clouds again. I wish I was off away with it. What's the matter, Mick? Are you afraid a banshee'll howl you off to your grave? Well, there's little I like at all about this night. We're all stretching our necks across the gibbet one way or t'other. Well, the sooner we deliver these guns over the border, the safer we'll be. I wish now I'd stood away with a ship that delivered them 3 days ago. And I'd be out of this on the way home. Well, you didn't. So let's have at it and get them away from the storehouse before... Wait a minute. What is it? By the ridge there. The silhouette of a man. Let's get the truck away and hidden around to the seaward side. Aye. You take it. Give me that cuss of yours, and I'll handle whatever comes this way.
Yes, Sergeant, he was. Well, he left this morning, yesterday morning, about 9. All I know is he was headed somewhere north of Sligo, Galway Bay area. Yes, he was looking for a place named Carelessly. No, not at all. And please, he's a cousin of mine and a very good friend. You will keep us notified and let us know what's happening. Yes, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
What is it, Denny?
Oh, what are you doing out of bed, Sheila?
Who was on the phone? You said Sergeant.
It was Liam Flaherty of the police. Oh, Sheila, there's all hell to pay.
Tell me.
There was a tracer from the States. They called the local here to get in touch with us.
Why?
The police in America. They're trying to get in touch with Brian.
What has Brian done?
That isn't the point. It's what's been done to him.
What?
Brace yourself, my darling. Somebody murdered his wife.
A moment ago, on my way down the hill, I could see Carelessly full in the moon. What do they mean it's a ruin? It was just as I pictured it. Turrets, mullioned windows with diamond-shaped glass panes, great oak doors, and ivied granite. Now, with the moon hidden, its silhouette looms over me, reaching out to me as I come home at...
Oh, you didn't have to hit him so hard. I wasn't taking any chances with Mr. Madden this time. Ah, is that who it is? Say for yourself. How do you get over the drink and away and here? No time to worry about that now. You think he is police or maybe the British? Whatever he is, we'll decide that later. Let's get the guns off and away first.
I'm standing in front of the great door of Carelessly, and I know that everything's going to come clear at long last. I reach out and pull the bell. Even the bell is familiar, although I cannot quite place where I've heard it before. And now, the door is opening.
Good evening, Brian. We've been waiting for you.
Good evening, Your Lordship. I'm sorry I'm late.
No matter. We've but just finished dinner, and her ladyship is with the child. Will you join me in a glass of mulled wine?
That's your pleasure.
I've not seen you for some time, and... the devil. I forgot. I must catch my sea captain before he leaves to send some packets. Will you forgive me? I should not be over 2 hours or so. May I hope you'll attend milady in my absence?
I should be happy to, except... Would you not rather I transmit the packages for you on my way home?
No. I must have certain words with the shipmaster that I alone can bring. Besides, I would not deprive Kleina of some outside companionship. We're so isolated here, it would be cruel to deny her a new face to brighten her solitude.
The hour is late. Perhaps it would be better...
No, I won't hear of it. You shall be our guest for the night, and I shall be back post-haste. I'll try to make it in as close to 2 hours as possible. Meanwhile, make yourself completely at home.
I am in a dream, I suppose. For by my host's clothes, the speech, a calendar I find on the wall, I am back in the past over 100 years. But more important, I am within the walls of Carelessly, and the riddle of my whole life, I feel, is near to being solved. When Lord Carrig leaves, I am too impatient to wait for my answers. So I climb the great staircase to Kleina's bedroom and knock on the door.
Who is it?
Brian.
A moment. What are you doing here?
I grew tired of waiting for you to come down.
My husband, he's...
Lord Carrick has ridden to town. It will be 2 hours before he returns. May I come in?
I shouldn't let you.
It's too late.
I thought you'd left for good 2 years ago.
When I lost you to him, I meant to. But for a while, I stayed hiding in the fen.
Oh, I know you were seen. Do you know what you've done to me? And why do you come back now?
I wanted to see the boy.
By what right?
Is he mine, Clena? I have to know. Is he mine?
No.
You called him by my name.
It was a foolish choice.
Why?
Because I loved you.
And now?
Oh, Brian. The years have come and gone. Lord Carrick is my husband and the father of my child. And I have a whole new life I've learned to accept.
I still want to know if the child is mine.
Let me go.
When you answer me.
How could he be yours? He was born 10 months after I married Lord Carrick.
Then why does everyone whisper he's mine?
Because you didn't leave as you promised. Why didn't you take yourself right out of my life?
But there was nothing between us after your marriage.
We know that, but no one else believes it.
They still think the child is mine.
Even Lord Carrick. I can't imagine why he could have welcomed you here tonight. I can't tell you how he... Wait a minute.
What is it?
Hush. Dear God, he's here. You'll kill me.
Over my body. And here it is. The moment I've reached back through a century for. The one I want to change. It's today I want to bring back. And Gloria and my own child that I killed in one moment of anger and hate as Lord Carrick plans to do with me and Clena now. I have only one chance of bringing Gloria back. To change history. Or at least to set it right.
He's coming up the outside balcony stairs. Through the French windows. Run, Brian, he'll kill me if he finds you here.
I'll kill him first for doubting you.
In heaven's name, no!
Lord Carrick, hold.
So once again you try to steal my wife.
Put up your dagger. I am unarmed.
So much the better. You first, and then my wife.
This time not so easily. I'm not the hunted, but the hunter. Look to yourself! He stands with his dagger half raised, frozen with inaction as I hurtle myself towards him, hands raised to shield and grapple and destroy him. But what I reach for is nothing but a shade. My outstretched hands grasp only air, and my hurtling body passing through his spectral waist crashes full tilt against the crumbling battlement, which gives way like powder. And of a sudden, just like the lover in the ancient legend, I am plummeting like today's skydiver towards the rocks below. And in this awful moment, I know that I was just as wrong about my wife, Gloria, as Lord Carrick was 100 years ago about Clena. Small comfort now to know that I am legitimate as the rocks below rush up towards me like an express train, and I am no more.
Are you ready, Sheila?
In a moment.
What is it, darling?
That bell. I don't know if I ever want to hear a bell in my life again.
That's only the church bell. We didn't ever hear the other one.
What happened to him, Denny?
Oh, I'd have to be God to answer that. He snapped. The way a lot of us do when life spins us around too fast and curdles our brains. Why do you think I ran away from it all and came here to find peace?
Brian really killed Gloria.
He'd had a nervous breakdown 2 months ago. He escaped from the sanitarium. His obsession about paternity had put him there, and Gloria was asking for a divorce. He lost his head. She lost her life.
But how did he think he could escape by coming here?
I don't think he was looking for escape, but... Oh, I know it's such a writer's word, but... expiation.
Are you saying, then, he was after taking his own life?
We'll never know, Sheila. The police say there's some evidence that the IRA were using Carrick-Clena as a depot for smuggled arms from the sea. Maybe he stumbled on them. The local folk would tell you that anyone in that haunted castle after dark, especially when the moon was full, was risking God knows what. And someone I know very dearly sensed he was marked by fate for death.
Oh, don't. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Perhaps for Brian Macken 'twas the only way. Let's us go give him a decent burial. And wish him peace at last.
A strange tale. A tortured man who borrowed a century-old sorrow and carried it on his back like the old man of the sea. Small wonder he broke eventually under the senseless strain and ran amok. A man to be censured, but also to be pitied. A man for whom the death bell sounded. Let his epitaph be John Donne's, lest you stop to criticize too harshly. Ask not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. I'll be back shortly.
Oh, sure. You can talk about good-tasting diet drinks, but I know. I'm Goldilocks, and here at my taste-testing laboratory, I taste-test them all. And nobody's been drinking my diet drinks until I tested sugar-free Diet 7-Up. And then, kabloomy! Every bear wanted some. Diet 7-Up is fresh, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
North Jersey is certainly getting a higher yield this spring, especially with Suburban Savings Special High Yield Savings Certificate that you can raise for fun and profit. All you have to do is plant a modest $2,500 minimum in Suburban Limited Issue 7.50% Savings Certificate. Then put your certificate in a nice, safe place. Suburban takes care of the rest by compounding interest continuously from day of deposit paid quarterly. You'll get a nice, healthy 7.90% effective annual yield on your 7.50 savings certificate when you let it grow from 4 to 10 years. Early withdrawal prior to maturity is, of course, subject to a substantial penalty. So for a nice, healthy 7.90% annual effective yield, grow Suburban's 7.50% savings certificate for fun and profit at any Suburban Savings office in Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
Our cast included Michael Tolan, Marion Seldes, William Redfield, and Guy Sorrell. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The Mystery Theater program was furnished by the CBS Radio Network.
This is Mary Helen McPhillips. Growing old may not be fun, but the only choice is to die, so hopefully most of us will grow old. And how to do it well is what we'll be talking about at 10:15 tomorrow morning on the Martha Dean program. Morgan Puner, a member of the Gerontological Society, will tell us what we know about growing old. I hope you'll join me tomorrow morning at 10:15.
I'm Fulton Lewis in the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, D.C. Now, my commentary. President Nixon's Watergate lawyer said today that he's going to move to quash a Watergate prosecution subpoena for 64 more White House tapes. He would not say whether the president will abide by any adverse Supreme Court decision should that tape battle come to that. Facing a deadline of Thursday for responding to the subpoena from Special Prosecutor Leon Jaworski, the president's defense attorney, James St. Clair, held a broad-ranging news conference here in Washington today, a news conference in which he discussed the president's reasons for making public more than 1,200 pages of edited transcripts of the Watergate tapes. He also disclosed that the House Judiciary Committee is seeking more than 140 additional tapes for its impeachment inquiry. Discussing Jaworski's subpoena, St. Clair argued today that the massive public release of transcripts by the president yesterday strengthens his effort to have the subpoena quashed. He said he will move now on two grounds. First, in his words, especially now, clearly the prosecution must have enough evidence to proceed to try these cases.
And knowing Mr. Jaworski, I am confident that he wouldn't have indicted these people if he didn't think he had enough evidence to convict them. Secondly, acknowledging that the White House has a duty to make available materials that would be helpful to the defendants, St. Clair today said everything we know of is in that book of transcripts. Everything is there. He also contended that there was a significant difference between the Jaworski subpoena and the one issued last year in the name of former Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox. He said the Cox subpoena, which led directly to the explosive firing of Cox, was on behalf of a federal grand jury, and the 2 court decisions that went against the president in that case were based on the proposition that the grand jury has sort of unique requirements. The Jaworski subpoena, on the other hand, St. Clair noted today, is aimed at providing materials for use in court trials rather than in grand jury deliberations. Asked whether the president would abide by an adverse Supreme Court decision should the Jaworski subpoena lead to a court fight and eventually reach the Supreme Court, St. Clair today said, quote, I wouldn't want to comment one way or the other because I have not discussed it with the president, and I would not want to presume on his decision. In any case, he said, I don't believe that we will come to that. St. Clair also was asked to outline the strategic or tactical advantages that the president hoped to reap by making public the massive array of edited transcripts. He cited the following as the basic consideration, and I quote, people were getting more and more imbued with the idea that the president had something to hide to the extent that it endangered the presidency. The facts ought to be known, and then let's argue about them. The president's Watergate attorney, James St. Clair, today volunteered that the staff of the Judiciary Committee is seeking tapes of 141, 142 maybe, those additional presidential conversations. He said he hoped the committee would take a second look at that request in light of Tuesday's disclosures and decide not to press it. Since most of these tapes are understood to deal with the controversies involving milk producers and the ITT, St. Clair was asked if he meant to suggest that the committees should forget those 2 issues. He said, based on what I know about it, the answer is yes. St. Clair made it apparent, however, that he is not opposed to providing additional materials relating to political contributions by the milk producers and the administration's controversial decision to raise milk price supports. He was asked if he felt that yesterday's disclosures might prejudice the cases of Watergate defendants that are still facing trial. St. Clair said, I do not think so. But as far as the conduct of the case is concerned, that is the first responsibility of the special prosecutor. Reminded that at one point in the bulky volume of transcripts, the president suggested to John Dean, who was then his private counsel, that witnesses in the Watergate proceedings might have conveniently faulty memories while under oath, St. Clair today said, as the president said, there are unfortunate remarks in there. Urging that the transcripts be looked at as a whole, he said the danger of this is to pick out a phrase here or a sentence there. The president's attorney also was asked if he thought it had been appropriate for the president to discuss at length payment of hush money to some Watergate defendants, as one transcript shows. St. Clair today responded, I'm sure if he had to do it all over again, he wouldn't have done that. The president is looking to the American people for vindication in the Watergate issue, while House impeachment investigators meet tonight to decide their next move in the quest for White House evidence. A majority of the House Judiciary Committee evidently was dissatisfied with the edited White House transcripts that the president delivered yesterday in lieu of tapes of those 42 presidential conversations that the committee had originally subpoenaed. The panel's Democratic majority planned to stop short of any formal demand for enforcement of the subpoena in favor of seeking bipartisan support for a simple statement declaring that the president had failed to comply with the subpoena. It was clear from the time that the president disclosed his transcript plan on Monday night that the support he sought was far beyond Capitol Hill, that his eventual goal was to try to persuade the American people that he did have no advance knowledge of the Watergate break-in, that he had no knowledge of the cover-up of the Watergate issue, and that he was providing investigators with a full story of his role. For all of the 1,308 pages of presidential transcripts, there are nonetheless many uncertainties about just what the president did or did not know and when he knew it, and what he intended to be done. It was, as the president's lawyers and the president himself had said, a document that is marked by ambiguities. One White House covering statement that was delivered with the transcripts declared, in all of the thousands of words spoken, Even though they often are unclear and ambiguous, not once does it appear that the President of the United States was engaged in a criminal plot to obstruct justice. Those words also created a picture of a president feeling increasingly embattled and frustrated by a scandal, the disclosure of which he considered inevitable, but which he hoped to control, possibly even avoid. And they showed the president considering many alternatives, many different options, including at one point the payment of some hush money to the original Watergate conspirators. The transcripts covered conversations between September 15th of 1972 and April 27th of 1973. There were a few critical meetings, though. There was one on September 15th of 1972. That was the day that the indictments were returned in the Watergate break-in case. On that day, the president met with White House counsel John Dean, who was later to become the president's chief accuser before the Senate Watergate Committee. There was another meeting on March 17th, 1973. That's the day that the president learned that members of the White House Plumbers Unit, set up to trace leaks of classified information, had engineered the break-in at the office of Daniel Ellsberg, psychiatrist. There was a meeting just 4 days later, March 21st of 1973. That was the day the president said that John Dean first told him about the Watergate cover-up. Numerous alternatives, including meeting demands for hush money, were considered by the president, by John Dean, and by White House aides H.R. Haldeman and John Ehrlichman. Less than a month later, April 14th, 1973, there was a meeting. That was the day of a rambling discussion of Watergate by the president, Haldeman, and Ehrlichman, during which they talked about the need to fire John Dean and the equally important need to convince former Attorney General John Mitchell to appear before the prosecutor and a grand jury. There were also a series of meetings in mid to late April 1973, during which the president learned more and more of the extent of the cover-up and the various progresses that were being made in the Watergate investigation. Those sessions climaxed with decisions to finally accept the resignations of Attorney General Richard Kleindienst, Haldeman, and Ehrlichman, and, of course, also the decision to fire John Dean. After voting to revise oil taxes, the House Ways and Means Committee is turning to general tax reform, but a personal income tax cut does not seem to be on the panel's present agenda for possible action. The committee was at work again today on a sweeping series of items, ranging from cutting Social Security taxes to reviewing tax shelters and tax treatment of capital gains, and from tax provisions for single people and married couples to tax simplification involving itemized deductions. Tax staff experts told newsmen following a closed-door committee meeting yesterday that the panel plans to consider this material in the next 60 days and may have to omit some of these items from the list, but hopes to cover as many of these as possible. Missing from the listing of more than 25 topics, though, was a general personal income tax cut along the lines of a $5.9 billion measure that has been suggested by some members of the Senate. In the Senate, that body voted today to let states decide whether a motorist could buy group health insurance to cover accidental injuries. The action came as the Senate neared a final vote on no-fault automobile insurance, which would compensate accident victims without regard to who caused the accident. San Francisco Mayor Joseph Alioto announced today that police in his city have arrested 7 black men in the so-called Zebra Street killings carried out by a black group, which in Alioto's words was dedicated to the murder and mutilation of whites and dissident blacks. He told a news conference, the police have pierced the veil of a vicious ring of murderers called the Death Angels. The Death Angels is kind of a reverse Ku Klux Klan. 12 whites have been killed, 6 others wounded in San Francisco, in very random, very unprovoked attacks over the past 6 months. From the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, I'm Fulton Lewis, and that's the top of the news as it looks from here.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the terrifying world of your imagination. Vampire. Perhaps in the safety of your home, the word means little to you. Oh, you've heard of vampires, of course. But do you believe that they exist? Not you. Well, all I can say is Minna Harker didn't believe either. Our mystery drama, Dracula, was specially adapted from the story by Bram Stoker for the Mystery Theater by George Lothar and stars Mercedes McCambridge. It is sponsored in part by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up and by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll be back shortly with Act 1.
And now, another story of the ball and chain, as Kellogg's Special K presents The Library.
Welcome to the public library. May I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to check out... I'd like to check out Famous Laundromats of the World by Audrey Schnorbart.
Sir, excuse me, but isn't that ball and chain you're wearing just like the ones they use in the Kellogg's Special K commercial?
This ball and chain?
Yes, that one. How are you going to get rid of it?
Well, lots of good exercises, and by eating smart at every meal, starting with the Special K breakfast.
Don't you have to watch your calories?
Yes, and the Special K breakfast is less than 240 calories.
Less than 240 calories?
Right. A 1-ounce bowl of high-protein Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, and coffee. It's really tasty, and it's going to help me get rid of this ball and chain. I'd say it's long overdue, get it?
Your happy ending could begin with the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's.
There's a very special deal going on at all offices of Suburban Savings throughout North Jersey. It's called Suburban Special Interest Deal, and you'll be especially interested in the savings you get. A top 7.90% effective annual yield on Suburban Limited's issue 750 savings certificate. And Suburban guarantees it from 4 to 10 years. Minimum deposit, $2,500. Early withdrawal prior to maturity is subject to a substantial penalty. Suburban compounds interest continuously from day of deposit, paid quarterly. So you not only get interest on your savings, you get interest on the interest. And Suburban offers you the highest interest rate allowed by law. Here's your chance to get a great savings. A top 7.90% effective annual yield on Suburban's limited issue 7.50% savings certificate. Why not deal yourself into Suburban Savings Special Interest Deal in Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
Horror, in its purest form, lies ahead for us. I would be remiss if I didn't warn you that if your nerves are not strong, it might be better for you not to listen. No, really now, be warned. Because as Minna Harker tells us in the diary she kept, there awaits you
an experience so loathsome, so horrifying, that I can hardly bring myself to write of it. If I'd known what lay ahead for me when I went to visit my dearest and closest friend, Lucy Westenra, at Hillingham, I could not have brought myself to go, much as I loved her. Looking back now, I realize I had plenty of warning, but I paid no attention. For example, as I drove to the Westenra estate through that lonely, isolated country and heard the wolves howling in the distance, it occurred to me that it was strange to hear wolves in this part of the country. As strange as the huge bat that flew alongside my car. I mentioned this to John, Dr. John Seward, Lucy's fiancé, as we sat having a drink in the living room.
It's strange, Minna. I've seen that bat myself. The thing must have a wingspread of at least 4 feet. I haven't the faintest idea where it came from, or the wolves either.
Even Lucy's letters seemed kind of strange to me, John. What is the matter with her?
No, I don't know. I'm completely baffled. I've had 2 other doctors look at her, colleagues of mine, and they can't figure it out. I'm desperate, Minna. I'm so desperate, I've called in my old friend and teacher, Professor Van Helsing.
Van Helsing?
Yes,
he's one of the finest diagnosticians in the world, John.
Yes, he'll be here from Amsterdam in a day or 2.
Amsterdam, Holland?
Yeah.
All the way from Oh, John, you must be desperate.
Lucy is dying, Minna. I'll do anything I can to save her. We must find a way to stop her from losing blood.
Losing blood?
Well, it's this constant loss of blood that's killing her. Transfusions help for a time, but only a short time, and each transfusion is less effective.
John, when can I see her?
Oh, she's sleeping now. Her mother's with her, watching her. We take turns. As soon as Mrs. Westenra lets us know she's awake...
Oh, listen, those wolves, they're at it again.
John, hasn't anyone looked into this wolf thing? How they suddenly come to be in this part of the country?
Well, according to the paper, the town police have looked into it. Well, that's peculiar, too.
What?
Well, they haven't been able to spot one single wolf. Oh, excuse me. We have a visitor. Oh, come in, Count. Come in.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm on my way to town. I have a dinner engagement, and I thought I would stop to ask after Miss Westenra.
Oh, she's no better, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Can you stay for a drink?
Well,
I'd like you to meet a friend of Lucy's who'll be staying with us for a while.
Oh, in that case, of course.
Minna, this is Count Dracula, our new neighbor, Count Miss Minna Harker.
How do you do?
How do you do? Count Dracula?
Yes, but do not hold it against me, Miss Harker. I cannot help being of the blood royal.
Well, why don't you two get acquainted while I go up and see if Lucy's awake yet?
I shall do my best to entertain this charming young lady.
I won't be a minute.
You're a long way from home, Count.
A very long way, Miss Harker.
May I ask what brought you here?
Business.
Business? Good heavens, what kind of business could you have in this part of the country? I mean, it's so isolated.
True, it does present difficulties, but I like living in the country.
Oh, you must. Oh, forgive me, I'm forgetting my manners. Would you like a drink?
Thank you.
Scotch or bourbon?
Is there perhaps some wine? Red wine.
Now, let me see. I'm not very familiar with the supply here. Here we are. Here's a bottle of Burgundy.
That glass of that will be... Miss Harker, what's wrong? What is it?
It's the bottle. I'm afraid it slipped. It slipped. That's all. Oh, I'm afraid I cut my hand. No, don't be upset. It's only a slight cut, see?
No.
Lucy's awake and we can... Count, what's wrong? Minna, your hand.
I must leave at once, Doctor. Sorry, I cannot stay. Something I just remembered. No, it's all right. I will see myself now.
What in the world? But, Count... Minna, what happened? Minna?
I dropped the bottle of wine and cut my hand.
Yes, I see you did, but...
I dropped the bottle because I couldn't see him in the mirror.
Couldn't see? What mirror?
This mirror over the table. It reflects the whole room.
Well, of course it does, but...
John, I picked up the bottle to pour Count Dracula a drink, and I looked into the mirror, and he was standing where you are now, and I couldn't see him in the mirror.
What?
He was there where you're standing, but he wasn't reflected in the glass.
Minna, you're not making sense. And you're trembling.
John, I'm scared.
Of what?
How can you ask? I look in a mirror and didn't see someone who should have been reflected in it. Is something going wrong with my eyes or my brain, John? What?
Minna, easy. I don't want another patient on my hands.
But, John,
An optical illusion, something like that. Our eyes play tricks on us sometimes. Now, come on. Let's get a bandage for that cut, and then we'll go up and see Lucy.
I believe, John. It must have been. It had to be a trick my eyes had played. What else? Well, we got a bandage for the cut on my hand, and then John took me to Lucy's room. I can't find words to describe the shock I felt when I saw her. She was white as new-fallen snow, and so thin, she almost seemed transparent. She's dying. That was my first thought. She's dying, and nothing can save her. And I know she read the thoughts in my face. I could see the sudden fear in her eyes.
I am dying, Minna.
Oh, you mustn't even think that, Lucy.
You do.
I?
It was in your face when you looked at me. I read your thoughts. She's dying, you thought. And nothing can save her. I am. And nothing can save me.
Oh, John can save you. And he will.
He hasn't so far.
You mustn't despair, Lucy.
Despair, Minna? I don't have the strength to despair. You better go now, Minna.
Go? Lucy, dear, I haven't seen you in nearly a year. We haven't even started to tell each other everything that's happened.
Later. Not now. I'm tired. I want to sleep.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll come back later.
No, not till tomorrow.
All right, whatever you say. But I'll just look in on you later.
No,
Lucy.
You mustn't. You
All right, then. But stop upsetting yourself.
Go quickly.
Oh, good Lord. At the window.
It's nothing. Go, Minna. It's nothing.
Nothing. It's that bat. That huge bat that followed my car.
Oh, go, I beg of you.
Lucy, the thing is trying to get in. Look, it's clawing at the window. Is that locked? Is that window locked?
Yes, it's locked.
But locks are useless against Count Dracula.
Oh, good Lord.
Mirrors do not reflect my image, Miss Harker. Nor do locks keep me out.
You were that bat.
As the wolves you hear are not wolves, but like myself, vampires.
Vampires?
Who live by night.
No, this can't be happening. It's a dream. It's a nightmare.
That's what it will seem like when you wake up.
Huh?
Yes, you're going to sleep now. And yet not sleep. You will remember all you've seen here, but when you waken, it will seem like a dream. A dream you'll tell no one, not even Professor Van Helsing. Because you will not want to look foolish. You'll be ashamed to tell it for fear he will think you're a silly young woman. Enough. Sleep.
Did I sleep? Did I dream? No. My sleep was a hypnotic trance into which he had placed me. And what I dreamed was reality. There in the moonlight that streamed through the window, I saw Dracula raise his arms and call.
Lucy. Lucy, my dearest love, come to me. Come, my darling.
I can't. Too weak. My lover, I'm too weak.
Then I shall come to you. Embrace you. Kiss you.
And now the strangest thing of all happened to me. As I watched what then took place, my love for my friend Lucy, my fears for her, made me feel as she must have felt, so poignantly, so deeply that, yes, I became Lucy. I watched Dracula as he approached my bed. There was a deliberate voluptuousness in him which I found both thrilling and repulsive. Lower and lower went his head as the lips went below the range of my mouth and chin and seemed about to fasten on my throat. I could feel the hot breath on my neck. Then the skin of my throat began to tingle. I could feel the soft, shivering touch of his lips on the supersensitive skin of my throat, and then two hard dents of two sharp teeth just touching and pausing there. I closed my eyes in a languorous ecstasy, and I waited. I waited with a beating heart. And then horror overcame me, and I sank into unconsciousness.
I promise that the horror you have just experienced is nothing compared to what is to come. Think twice before you return with me shortly with Act 2.
Hi, I'm Goldilocks, Ms. Goldilocks, if you please, and I'm a professional taste tester. Here at my taste test laboratory, that's TTL for short, I taste test everything from porridge to diet drinks. Actually, there's not that much taste testing in porridge these days. There used to be. Once upon a time. I mean, that's how this Ms. got into the biz. But lately it's been diet drinks. I mean, with so many diet drinks going sugar-free, I've been really busy conducting taste tests. A rather unbearable assignment, to be sure. But then I discovered sugar-free diet 7-Up. Fresh, natural, delicious. My only problem is that sugar-free diet 7-Up tastes so good that it broke my Goldilocks diet drink taste-o-meter. Well, sugar-free diet 7-Up certainly has my seal of approval. This one's just right.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner? Hey, Mom, what you got?
It's time to get ready for the great outdoors, and your ShopRite supermarket has everything you'll need for cookout dinners and fun in the sun. And for this week's dinners, ShopRite is featuring whole grade A frying chickens, just 37 cents a pound. Roasting chickens up to 4 pounds, 47 cents a pound. Choice beef rib steaks, $1.19 a pound. ShopRite Franks, 89 cents a pound. Get all your outdoor cooking equipment and many great food values at your ShopRite supermarket.
She loves the family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
This is WOR New York, an RKO General Station, your station for Mystery Theater.
I thought it must have been a dream, a nightmare, for nothing so vile and revolting could be real. But though I tried during the next day or two to persuade myself it was only a dream, there were signs, warnings all about me that told me I was lying to myself. There was the nightly howling of the wolves, the screeching of that huge bat around the house, and yes, the scarf that Lucy kept wrapped round her throat. It's such a hot afternoon. How can you bear to wear that scarf around your throat?
Hot? I feel cold.
But, Lucy, you're perspiring. Your forehead is damp.
All I want to do is sleep. I'm so tired. I'm so deathly tired.
I'll leave you for a while, then. I'll look in on you later to make sure you're all right.
Oh.
Sleep well.
Minna?
Yes, dear?
If I'm asleep when you come back, promise me you won't remove this scarf from around my throat.
Very well.
You won't even touch it. Promise?
I promise. Later that afternoon, toward evening, Professor Van Helsing arrived from Holland. When John introduced me to him, he stared at me suddenly and hard, his eyes boring into me from behind his thick-lensed glasses.
You are frightened, Miss Harker? Why?
Frightened?
Maybe she hasn't recovered from that optical illusion the other night.
Optical illusion?
Yes, you see that mirror over the table there?
Yes.
Well, we had a visitor, Count Dracula, a new neighbor at Carfax, a few miles from here, and Minna had the illusion that she couldn't see his reflection in the mirror.
My eyes must have played a trick on me, Professor.
Yes. This Count Dracula, John, he's new here, you say?
Yes, he arrived from Hungary about 6 weeks ago.
I see. Take me to see your fiancée, John.
Oh, she's sleeping, Lucy, sleeping
We'd
right now.
better wake her up.
What is it? You seem suddenly concerned.
I am. Take me to Lucy at once. Wake her, John.
All right.
Gently. Very gently.
Lucy? Lucy, dear. Come on, wake up.
Here. Let me. Pulse weak, very weak. Eyes? Oh, she's not asleep. She's in a coma. What is her blood type?
Oh?
So is mine. Prepare for a transfusion, John. I will be the donor. And hurry, man, hurry.
Yes, of course.
Meanwhile, I shall have a look under this scarf.
No, she didn't want the scarf removed.
I'm sure she didn't, Miss Harker, but we're going to remove it. Aha. As I thought.
What is it?
Yes, Professor, what?
Look.
There are two little holes. Wounds.
As if she'd been bitten by a large snake.
No, not a snake.
What then? What?
We must be quick with the transfusion, very quick. And pray God, both of you, that I have not arrived too late.
But he was too late. The transfusion revived Lucy a little. When we'd made her as comfortable as we could, the three of us, Professor Van Helsing, John, and I, went back down to the living room. And it was here that Professor Van Helsing told us the truth. The truth that made John Seward cry out.
Vampire? You say we are dealing with a vampire, Professor? Have you gone out of your mind?
My dear John, I don't blame you.
Blame me? I should hope not. You ask me to believe me, a doctor, a man of medical science?
Science? There's more to this world than science.
But, Professor, a vampire? I can't believe that there's a vampire.
I tell you that witches exist. That warlocks exist. That vampires exist. And we are dealing with one here.
But if what you say is true...
It is. Ask her. Ask Miss Harker.
Me?
You had an experience in this house that you're concealing. You choose to think it was a dream. When did it happen, child? Last night?
No. The night before.
Where?
In Lucy's bedroom.
Minna, what happened?
I dreamed...
No, it was no dream.
All right, then. I saw... Oh, heaven protect me. I saw...
You needn't tell me. No need to put you through that. I would if I didn't know who our vampire is. But I do know.
Who?
The man whose reflection she could not see in that mirror. Your new neighbor, Count Dracula.
I don't believe you. I cannot believe you.
If you can't believe me, at least trust me.
Oh, I'll answer that.
Wait.
Yes, Professor.
If that should be Count Dracula, you did say that he calls about this time each evening, John?
Yes.
Say nothing, do nothing to give away the fact that we are onto him.
Oh, this is nonsense, sheer
do
nonsense.
Do as I tell you. You may answer the door now, Miss Harker.
Yes.
Good evening, Miss Harker.
Count Dracula? Come in.
And how is Miss Westenra today?
Not too well, I'm afraid. She had to have another transfusion.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, John. Very sorry to hear that.
Thank you, Count.
I do not believe I have met this gentleman.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you haven't. Let me present my old friend and teacher, Professor Abraham Van Helsing. Professor, this is Count Dracula.
How do you do, Professor?
How do you do, Count?
I wished only to inquire about your fiancée, John. I'm sorry indeed to hear she is no better. If there's anything I can do...
Thank you.
Meeting you, Professor, has been a pleasure. Good night.
Oh, Count.
Yes?
Mrs. Westenra keeps asking me to do this, and I keep forgetting. There is a custom in the Westenra family to ask visitors to sign the visitor's book.
Ah, charming old world custom.
It's right here. If you'll just wait a second, I'll get it, and then you can sign it. Is something wrong?
It's a Bible.
Well, yes. Why do you back away from me? Or are you backing away from the book? The holy book?
I must go.
No, you'll stay and face this book.
You know.
John, you fool. You shouldn't have done this.
I had to have proof.
I will make you pay for this. You shall pay.
Oh, no. Not now that I have found out what you are.
Oh, John.
You think because you discovered my secret you can stop me? Fool. You've only delivered yourself into my hands. I meant to make Lucy one of mine, and that was all. But now you shall become mine, and you...
Not I.
Yes, and you.
No, I beg you.
I shall have you all, but first, Lucy, I shall take her. Take her. Now. She's mine. She's no longer of this world, but of mine. I leave you.
Look, he turned into a bat. The bat. And he flew right through the wall.
John, why did you do this? Why, after I warned you?
I had to know one way or the other. I had to know.
There's only one way to finish a vampire. Oh, the first thing you must do is find out where he sleeps during the day.
Lucy! Professor, quickly. Professor!
There is no hurry now. When he said he meant to make her his own, he had already done so.
It was true. Lucy we went to her bedroom and found her. I felt as if I'd been stabbed to the heart. We buried her, my dearest friend, in the Westenra vault at Hillingham Cemetery, not far from town.
Lucy is gone.
No, not...
Not, Professor.
She has become the undead. She has become a vampire.
Oh, what are you saying?
John, listen to me. Believe in me. You didn't believe before. Believe now.
Yes. I believe you. Go on.
John, you feel you've been through hell. I must tell you that you have been through only the anteroom to hell.
What do you mean?
Now listen to me. Listen carefully. There is only one way in which a vampire can find peace, can be changed from the undead to the... What you must do, terrible as it will be, will release her soul from the horrifying bondage in which it finds itself. Her soul and Dracula's.
Dracula's?
Do you think a vampire wants to be a vampire? Oh, no. A vampire's soul is chained, pinioned, held mercilessly to this earth by Satan himself. And we who believe in God, are the only ones who can free them. It is our duty to destroy them.
Well, then let's destroy them.
We shall, if you have the nerve to do what must be done.
I have the nerve.
Professor, you frighten me.
I mean to, in order to prepare you. But no matter how well I prepare you, when it comes to doing what must be done, your sanity could snap like that. So first I will ask you both to take as much time as you need to think, to ask yourselves, how much do you really love Lucy Westenra? And be sure, be positive beyond all doubt that your love for her is greater than the hell that lies ahead for you and you this very night.
I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
When you drink beer, do you tilt the glass for long, hearty swallows? Or just tip it and sip it? Well, sipping's the thing for wine. But Budweiser beer is a hearty drink, brewed for zest and character. The best way to enjoy Bud is to drink it. Not chug-a-lug, just man-sized beer drinker swallows. That's when that famous Budweiser taste, smoothness, and drinkability really come through. Smoothness and drinkability that come only from natural carbonation and exclusive beechwood aging. Smoothness and drinkability, too good for any half-hearted sipping. So drink up. You'll see that brewing beer right does make a difference. And that when you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
I thought I knew what horror was until I read it. I changed my mind. You will, too.
I'm ready, Professor.
I knew you would be, John. We'll wait now for Miss Harker.
No, there's no need to wait. I love Lucy enough. More than enough. She was my dearest friend.
Is your dearest friend. For she is not yet. She is as yet the undead. It's nearly sundown. Let us go to the cemetery at once.
The cemetery?
It will be dark by the time we get there. She will have left her coffin.
Left it?
Well, like Count Dracula, she cannot go on living, or let me say, being the undead without drinking human blood. To find it, she must, of course, leave her coffin. The instant the sun goes down tonight, she will be on the prowl for little children.
Children?
Yes, children are innocent, gullible, naive, make easier victims. And the inexperienced vampire must practice. Yes, she will be seeking children.
Oh, it's revolting.
Revolting? Well, that is only a word to you at the moment. In a short time, it will be reality. Do you really think you can bear what is to come?
I can. I must.
Good. I have preparations to make. So do you, the two of you. Dress warmly.
Warmly? But it's hot out.
Child, there is no chill like a graveyard chill.
We drove to Hillingham Cemetery in John's car. I'd never been in a cemetery at night. How many people have? I found it a very unsettling experience, to say the least. It was a moonlit night, the moonlight spilling like milk over the gravestones, which in turn threw long black shadows. An owl hooted, and dogs barked, or I couldn't help thinking, were they wolves? And then we reached the Westenra vault, the vault where we'd put Lucy's coffin that afternoon.
Now what do we do, Professor?
We go into the vault.
Why? And how?
I have the key to the vault.
How did you get it?
I asked the undertaker for it, or rather told him to give it to me. He assumed I was a member of the family. Well, you need not come with me. Not now.
But why shouldn't we come?
I wish to save you as much shock as I can. She will not be there in the coffin. It will be a shock for you to find it empty. Now, on the other hand, it will be less a shock than what is to follow. Yes, it will prepare you. Come then. Now, I shall open the coffin now.
If she isn't in it, how could she have got out?
I could tell you, but it is better that you see for yourself later. Now, this won't take long. I need only unscrew the top part. There. Well, now to lift off the top of the lid. Yes. Empty. She's gone.
Where? Gone where? In God's name, where?
In search of the life-giving blood, John. In search of a small child.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
John?
Yes?
Come. We go outside the vault. Now, to lock the door. Now, that's most important. And now, what I must do will take a little time. Yes, make yourselves as comfortable as you can.
Make ourselves comfortable.
Professor, what must you do?
Well, I have here a paste made of garlic, flour, and water. I must seal off every crevice with it. Seal all around the door so Lucy cannot get back into the vault, into her coffin.
She could?
Through the crevices, yes. How do you think she got out of the coffin?
I can't believe...
Yes. It is unbelievable. But it is so. Now, forgive me. I must get to work.
I can't express in words how fresh and clean the night air seemed when we came out of the tomb. How sweet to breathe the fresh air that held no taint of death or decay. John was silent, and so was I. As for Professor Van Helsing, he was very busy sealing the door.
10 o'clock. I hope both of you took my advice, dressed warmly. We have a long wait ahead of us.
How much longer, Professor? I'm chilled to the bone.
Everything depends on how long it takes her to find a small child. Nearly 2 o'clock. Has been gone several hours. Soon now, I think... Shh. What? She comes.
Where?
See there? Amidst the headstones?
Yes, a woman. Dressed in white.
Lucy.
Shh. Make no move, no noise. See, she is carrying something in her arms. A child.
I feel sick.
Control yourself. Ah, there. Yes, she's coming toward the vault. See, she draws back. The mixture I used repels her.
Why are we doing this? Why are you keeping her out of the vault, her coffin?
Because I hope... Yes. Yes, she's leaving, hurrying away from along the headstones. Come, we must follow.
Follow where?
To Dracula, I hope. Unless I'm mistaken, she's going to him for help. Hurry. We must keep her in sight. No, wait.
What is it?
She is heading for that tomb. Dracula must be there. Good. Now watch. See, now she's putting the child down on the ground. And now...
Where is she?
Where's she?
She's vanished.
She simply slipped into the tomb through the crevice around the door. Oh, wait here.
Yes.
What's he doing?
He's picking up the child, I think. Yes. See, he's coming back now.
Here, Miss Harker. You take the child. Keep it warm.
Oh, this poor thing. Poor little thing. Look, it doesn't move. It doesn't make a sound. It's lifeless.
No. No, only in a trance. It will recover. But remember, when I ask you to do what must be done, remember that we have saved not only this child, but God knows how many others.
I'll remember.
Good. And now we will return to her tomb and wait till dawn.
Till dawn?
She will return to the tomb then. She has no choice. Dracula cannot help her. She must sleep in her own coffin before daybreak. How do you feel, Miss Harker?
I'm all right, thank you.
John?
I'm okay. It's almost dawn. Why doesn't she come?
Soon now. How's the child?
Still asleep, if it is only sleep.
It is. It will not come to its senses until daybreak. Now, prepare yourselves for... In a very short time, now Lucy should... there. Yes, she's coming.
And this time she'll be able to enter the tomb, because you removed the garlic mixture.
This time I want her to enter the tomb and her coffin. It will be there that you will do what must be done.
Oh, there she is. Oh, heaven help me. She is as beautiful as she always was.
Now, hold on to yourself.
She isn't. She can't be. Lucy! Lucy, my darling!
John! No, come back!
Lucy!
John, my dearest, come to me, John. Come to me.
I have never seen anything so horrible. And God save me from ever seeing it again. Lucy's eyes shone with an unholy light, and her face became wreathed with a voluptuous smile as she advanced toward John with outstretched arms.
Come to me, dearest. My arms are hungry for you. Come, and we can rest together in the tomb. Come, my lover. Come.
And John suddenly opened wide his arms and started running to her, and she to him, when Van Helsing rushed forward between them. And he raised something he held in his hand up against her face. It was a crucifix. With a cry of rage and agony, Lucy flung herself away from John and toward the tomb, and she was gone.
John, are you all right?
The Lord help me. The Lord help me.
And he shall. Come, into the tomb. It's time. Now, first, let me put the bag I brought over here. And now I will remove the coffin lid again.
Professor, is this really Lucy's body or some kind of demon in her shape?
Oh, she's hideous.
Yes, your friend who was so sweet and pure is now a foul thing. But if you can do what you must do, you will see her once again as she was.
Whatever it is, we'll do it.
This wooden stake I have bought.
Yes.
This pointed stake. You must drive it through Lucy's heart. With this hammer.
Oh, no.
And when that is done, cut off her head with this surgical knife.
I don't...
You must do it. For her sake, John. For the sake of the woman you loved.
All right. Give me the stake. And the hammer.
John took the stake in his left hand, the hammer in his right. I saw him tremble as he placed the point of the stake over Lucy's heart, saw the point dig into her white flesh, and then I could see him gather all his strength, all his self-control. He raised the hammer high above his head and looked at Van Helsing.
Yes.
Ow! John struck with all his might. The thing in the coffin writhed, and a hideous blood-curdling screech came from the opened lips. The body shook and twisted in wild contortions. John never faltered. He struck, and he struck again, driving the stake deeper, deeper as blood from the pierced heart welled and spurted up around it. And then the writhing and quivering of the body became less. The teeth stopped champing, and the thing lay still. It was over.
Is that enough, Professor?
Enough.
I think I'm going to...
I've got you. There. Now go outside, get some air.
No.
Both of you go. You look faint too, Miss Harker.
I must still her head.
No.
I have...
You have done all that can be asked of you. No more. I will sever the head. Now go now, but before you do, look at your beloved Lucy for the last time.
There, in the coffin, lay no longer the foul thing we dreaded, but Lucy, as we had seen her in life, her face as beautiful and pure as it had been then.
You will want to know that later on, Professor Van Helsing freed Count Dracula from his earthly bondage, and in so doing, brought his bloody career to an end. Unhappily, I must add that Count Dracula was only one vampire among, how many? I don't know. Hope I never find out. Hope you don't either. I'll be back shortly.
Dear Thomas's, your new Thomas's onion English muffins are so delicious, my husband insists on them at every meal. It's embarrassing when we go to a Chinese restaurant.
Dear Thomas's, for years I've been buying bagels and Bialys with my Sunday Times. Last Sunday I bought the Times and your new Thomas's onion English muffins. Not bad, Thomas's.
Dear Thomas's, since serving sandwiches on your new onion English muffins, I've become very popular with the boys.
Thomas's new onion English muffins.
Here, 45, please, and don't spare the horses.
Yes, sir. In 1880, when a cab had 4 legs and took 12 minutes to cross Manhattan, Samuel Bath Thomas was baking bread, every bit as delicious as his original English muffins.
Here, 45, and move it.
Today, cabs have 300 horses, but still take 12 minutes to cross town. And Thomas's is still baking breads every bit as delicious as their English muffins. Thomas's protein, whole wheat, and white bread. Thomas's promises.
Our cast included Mercedes McCambridge, Paul Hecht, Stephen Schnabel, Michael Wager, and Marion Seldes. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Furnished by the CBS Radio Network.
This is Mary Helen McPhillips. I hope you'll join me tomorrow morning at 10:15. I have great fun in store for you. My guest is Henry Pleasance, the famous, very well-known serious music critic. But tomorrow, he's going to be talking about how great popular singers are and just why they are. And we'll hear little bits of some of their singing. That's tomorrow morning at 10:15.
Fulton Lewis in the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, D.C. Now, my commentary. President Nixon got a 6-day delay today in his fight against a Watergate subpoena, and a panel of experts said it will present another report on Saturday regarding that now famous 18-and-a-half-minute gap in one of the crucial White House Watergate tapes. A sweeping subpoena issued against the president by the Watergate Special Prosecutor Leon Jaworski had been due this morning, but U.S. District Court Judge John Sirica gave attorneys additional time to file briefs and to set a hearing date after the White House petitioned the court to quash the subpoena. In a brief session with attorneys in the Watergate cover-up case and White House attorneys, Judge Sirica gave them until next Monday to file answers to the White House motion. He set a hearing for next Wednesday.
In a similar struggle last fall, you recall, Judge Sirica rejected White House claims of executive privilege. Back then, he ordered the president to turn over several tape recordings of presidential conversations, and he was upheld by the U.S. Court of Appeals here in Washington. But also, as you recall, the president eventually turned over the tapes without appealing the case to the Supreme Court. There were strong indications from both sides this time, however, that the final showdown may come in the High Court. Meanwhile, 2 members of the panel of tape recording experts said that they are going to present their report to Judge Sirica on Saturday. That panel has been studying the cause of the gap, studying it since last November. In its interim report, issued in January, the same panel said that the gap had been caused by a process of erasing and re-recording at least 5, possibly 9 times, but it did not address itself to whether the erasure and re-recording was deliberate or accidental. Judge Sirica said that the meeting Saturday with Dr. Richard Bolt, a former professor at MIT, and a second unnamed member of the panel would be held in the judge's chambers. The judge said details of the report will not be made public at that time, but that further proceedings in connection with the report will be decided at the meeting. The panel was chosen jointly by the White House and by Special Prosecutor Leon Jaworski after the gap in the tape was made known in a hearing before Judge Sirica, who recommended that the Watergate grand jury investigate the incident. The gap is in one of 9 tapes that were originally subpoenaed by the Special Prosecutor's Office last year. The blank section is at the beginning of a conversation between the President and then White House Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman, the date June 20th, 1972. That, of course, was just 3 days after the break-in at the Democratic Party headquarters in the Watergate office building here in the nation's capital. At the White House today, Deputy White House Press Secretary Gerald Warren said that the House Judiciary Committee, which is considering impeachment of the president, got, in Warren's words, the full story of the Watergate issue when the president turned over some 1,200 pages of edited transcripts of taped White House conversations on Tuesday. Warren commented in response to a question about the committee's vote last night to inform the president that it feels he has failed to comply with its subpoena, which had asked for the tapes themselves rather than for the edited transcripts. Warren said that the White House feels the committee members have been given the facts on which they can move ahead. He also stuck by the president's offer to allow committee chairman Peter Rodino, the New Jersey Democrat, and the ranking Republican member, Michigan Republican Representative Edward Hutchinson, but no other committee, no staff members to listen to the tapes in private and to verify the accuracy of the transcripts. Warren today commented, "We feel that we have made a very fair, full, and responsible offer." From sources in the Senate came reports, meanwhile, that Alexander Haig, currently the White House Chief of Staff, today refused to answer questions before the Senate Watergate Committee, saying that he'd been instructed to invoke executive privilege by President Nixon himself. At an executive session of the panel, Haig presented a letter from the president saying, quote, "It would be wholly inappropriate for the committee to examine you about your activities as Chief of Staff or about information that has come to you in that position." The president's letter invoked both executive privilege and attorney-client privilege in ordering Haig not to cooperate with the committee's probe of the Watergate issue. Meanwhile, Vice President Gerald Ford said today that after reading some of the newly released Watergate transcripts, he is, in his words, convinced beyond any doubt that President Nixon is innocent of any wrongdoing. However, Ford said, he believes the president could have been a little more forceful in trying to get to the bottom of the Watergate issue a little faster. In a brief meeting with reporters of the Justice Department, Assistant Attorney General Henry Peterson today defended his conduct of the initial Watergate investigation and declared, "I am not a whore." The White House edited transcript showed Peterson regularly informing the president about the progress of the investigations, sometimes even advising him about ways to deal with top presidential aides who were implicated in the scandal. Peterson today said, "I walked through a minefield and came out clean." In another Watergate impeachment development, the Judiciary Committee approved by voice vote live television coverage of its impeachment proceedings, so long as it does not interfere with those proceedings. Presidential counselor Dean Burt said the White House had no objections to live television coverage. However, he repeated the White House view that whatever is done should be handled speedily. Burt said in a White House meeting with newsmen, "Time is becoming critical in this thing. It's not the right thing to continue the proceedings into the autumn election campaigns." Former milk producer lobbyist Bob Lilly is quoted in court papers as saying that his boss told him that campaign donations were pledged to President Nixon in conjunction with the 1971 price support increase. That statement is the first to be attributed to a dairy cooperative official, alleging any link between the president's order to raise federal milk price supports in 1971 and the dairymen's promise of up to $2 million in campaign donations. In a White House statement last January, the president specifically denied that he ordered prices increased in return for that campaign money. He did concede that traditional political considerations did play a part in his decision to overrule the Agriculture Department's desire to keep prices steady. The House Judiciary Committee is investigating the milk price matter as part of its impeachment inquiry, and the Watergate Special Prosecution Force is also looking into it. The White House has declined requests for numerous tapes and documents relating to that price support matter. Lilly's statement actually surfaced as part of subpoenaed papers made public in connection with the Justice Department's antitrust suit against the nation's largest dairy farmer cooperative, Associated Milk Producers Incorporated. He was interviewed by former American Bar Association President Edward Wright last December 27th and 28th as part of his investigation into the milk producers' political activities, which he conducted for the co-op's board of directors. A judge delayed today his decision on a motion by defense attorneys in the John Ehrlichman perjury case to move the trial out of Los Angeles because of excess publicity. Superior Court Judge Gordon Ringer ordered a recess until the next mail delivery at the request of defense attorneys who are waiting for newspaper clippings to arrive from San Diego County. The defense team has claimed that the former presidential advisor could get a more fair trial in the San Diego area because publicity there has been more favorable to Ehrlichman. They said the clippings are needed to support that claim. Syrian leaders seem to be confident that when Secretary of State Henry Kissinger arrives there on Friday, he may be carrying a significant Israeli concession that could pave the way for negotiations on separating forces on the Golan Heights. A high-ranking source in Damascus said the talks will be complicated, but we are convinced Washington realizes what is at stake and Kissinger will not come with an empty briefcase. Although the secretary has appealed to both sides for restraint while he tries to work out an agreement, official sources in Damascus say that Syria's president has adopted a Viet Cong-style strategy, a strategy of fighting while negotiating. Diplomats also note a new Syrian desire to cooperate and maybe even compromise, a desire that has been promoted by, first, a growing belief that U.S. mediation efforts are sincere, secondly, the lure of U.S. monetary aid and Western technology for a long-hoped-for economic rebirth of Syria, thirdly, President Nixon's foreign aid package that gave Egypt $250 million also includes provisions for $100 million that could possibly go to Syria. Also, Israeli cabinet changes that have prompted some Syrian hopes that the Israelis may be more amenable than before to Secretary Kissinger's persuasive powers. And finally, the closing gap between Soviet and U.S. efforts in the Middle East. The Soviet Union had encouraged Syrian militancy to counter Kissinger's dominant role in Mideast diplomacy and its waning influence in Egypt, but Kissinger's conciliatory talks with Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko in Geneva have apparently resulted in new U.S.-Soviet pledges to try to work together insofar as the Middle East is concerned. The Senate here today passed and sent to President Nixon a compromise bill which creates a new federal energy office. The bill passed 236-9 by the House of Representatives back on Monday. It won in the Senate by a voice vote. Energy-related functions now spread over numerous federal offices. These would be centered in the new agency. It would have extensive authority to require information from energy companies and to even issue subpoenas if necessary. President Nixon is expected to formally nominate John Sawhill, now FEO administrator, to head up the new formal agency. The nominee would be subject to Senate confirmation. The bill authorizes $475 million for the agency to operate until June 30th, 1976. From the Mutual Studios in Washington, I'm Fulton Lewis, and that's the top of the news as it looks from here.